Welcome to the Neighborhood Watch Party podcast with George, James, and Drew. While we may essentially just be fans of the sport, we passionately debate it weekly and have recorded it here for your viewing pleasure. Check out our social media in the description to find us on other platforms. Please enjoy. Y'all right, and welcome to the podcast again, everybody. It's Drew here with the Neighborhood Watch Party with George, James, and Drew. We're going to get you right into the show. We've got a general roadmap right here. First, we're going to start at the top of the show like we usually do with a little betting scoreboard update. We had a little bit of a shake-up week 2 after a little bit of episode 1 performances that we thought would be pretty much setting the foundation for the rest of the season. But we've got things a little shooken up there. Next, we'll head into last week's games. We're looking at week 14 of the NFL. We've got a bunch of big games that we could talk about with you, but we've also got a bunch with our favorite teams and the Neighborhood Watch team to cover. We head into some breaking news. We've got a little bit of QB talk potentially, a little bit of injury this week in the NFL, and by a little bit we mean a lot. And we're also going to go back to our surprises of the week again, because we all found a few that we really liked enjoying watching this week. We'll also talk a little bit about the playoffs. Those are coming up. But before we go into next week's games, we're going to talk those big games. We've got a couple of big ones for you coming up. We also have some favorite team games. You know, we've got some divisional stuff for the Browns. We've got a really easy week for the Steelers, and I think we got a good competitive week for the Commanders. So all around, I think we've got good things to talk about today. We'll close off doing those bets again, and we'll be right back into the show. So with that, we're going to head right down to the betting scoreboard update. James, we'll start with him again because he had a very similar performance to his week 1 performance. If consistency is what James is going for, he got it. He got another 2 points this week off of his New England and Cincinnati picks. But alongside me, he lost Minnesota and then also got his Las Vegas and Tampa picks wrong. So that leaves James at 4 total on the season so far. James, we saw some consistency here, but how do we improve going forward?
I hate the Raiders. I hate the Raiders so much.
Stay away from the Raiders? Is that it?
I don't think you understand how angry and disappointed I was to see them blow a 16-3 lead when I had that bet on lock. But at least the Bengals and New England did it.
I was rooting for you, James, and then I saw Baker Mayfield down 6.
Oh, I thought it was a lock when Baker went in. I was like, okay, all right, this should be fine.
I thought it was a lock when Baker went in, but when that ball got down to the 2. And everyone was like, "Oh, it's done." I was like, "Baker Mayfield's gonna come out and win this game." Gosh, I'm gonna have to watch Baker Mayfield come and win a football game.
I mean, I'll give Baker his credit, but yeah, I mean, at least I'm consistent. You know, we're building up the betting net. You know, we're working our way up.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, James, sometimes it's better to stay consistent because we had some big regression in this scoreboard this week from our boy Georgie. After a perfect week 1 performance, he only gets 1 pick right. But it wasn't the one he was most confident in, I feel like. He took his Lions with their gritty, winning attitude got covered for him. But everything else fell through. Dallas, Kansas City, Seattle, Miami.
I mean, Dallas minus 17, that was a stretch to begin with. No NFL game should ever have a 17-point spread. And I think Dallas versus Houston proved that this weekend, in that in the NFL, any team can beat any team any given week. Dallas did come out with a last-second win, but there's no reason there should be a 17-point spread in the NFL ever. The Lions were the only team to come through. Like Drew said, I was beyond confident in that pick. And me and my friends weekly pick them. I was the only person to pick the Lions to beat the Vikings, and I guess the old saying goes, Vegas knows something we don't. The Lions were favored over a 2-loss team. They know something we don't. And the Lions are hot. And do not be surprised if you see them again in my pick'em this week. I'm 2 for 2 on my Lions. Denver covering against Kansas City felt a little phony. Kansas City looked electric in that game. Russ did have some offense cooking, but
Broncos country was riding.
I think James is going to talk a little bit more about the Seattle-Carolina game later. I was shocked by that result. Then my lock of the week, Miami minus 3. That was me and James both
quote the Stone Cold Chargers.
Me and James put some ugly locks of the week out last week with Tampa plus 5 and Miami minus 3.
Wasn't a nice pick.
up.
Yeah, no, it was not a fun pick there. But Remember what I said earlier about George being
California
boom or
team
bust,
showed
man.
up on our locks of the week this week. So you win some, you lose some, but
On my end, though, I had a couple of ones that I thought I thought Minnesota was just going to win this game. And I thought the Bills were going to slap a little bit. But, I did some dirty things. I don't necessarily feel the best about this week of winning. I picked Jacksonville. I stuck with our boys there. That was a good win. But I picked Baltimore, and I just feel dirty. I knew it was coming. I knew we were going to lose that game. I said I thought we were supposed to win it. But there's something just about games that the Steelers are supposed to win that they like to lose. It's the ones that we aren't supposed to win that we actually have a shot in. So I just had to pick him.
Your boy Mitch didn't help you too much in that game.
No, listen here. I'll talk more about Mitch later.
Terrible.
Mitchell Trubisky is not the reason we lost that game.
Mitchell Trubisky's the reason you didn't win the game, though.
No, I can tell you multiple. We'll get into that later. We'll get into my analysis later. But finally, for my lock of the week, I was getting a lot of shit for this one last week, boys. I think I'm gonna have to get a little clip on TikTok of these guys saying, "Oh my God, Niter, you're picking the Broncos." They thought I was crazy when I said Russell Wilson is gonna beat the toilets this week, and if it weren't for that injury, I think he blew the toilets out of the water. That's all I'm saying.
He might have tied the toilets.
I think he might have beat the toilets.
That was a backup quarterback trash time.
Because the backup came in and got one. So if the backup can come in and get one, don't tell me Mr. Money Russ Wilson couldn't maybe get two.
I'm not saying it's outside the realm of possibilities in an NFL game. But what I am saying is, if Russell Wilson would have thrown 5 touchdowns against the Kansas City Chiefs, I think I would have owed you a lot of money. And that was a trash time, backdoor, backup QB cover. You got lucky.
I don't know about that. I don't know. Broncos country. Let's ride. All right. But that puts the scoreboard 10 for Drew, George at 8, and James at 4. It's still anybody's game. If I don't pick anything up and James has a perfect week, he's right back into the week spot 1. So. But we'll dive deeper into last week's game. I think James is going to be leading us off with a little bit of Dolphins-Chargers talk, like George hinted at a little bit earlier.
All right, yeah, we got a lot of things to say about this game. But I mean, honestly, I think we just gotta say what a great game this was. I mean, this was a stunner. Everyone on Football Night in America picked the Dolphins to win, and the Chargers felt disrespected, and they came out and played one of the best games I've ever seen them play. I actually thought the Chargers would win this game. I picked them in my pick 'em with George earlier in the week, but I did not expect this type of performance from them. It was a 23-17 victory. Did not feel like a 23-17 victory in my eyes. But the win was carried by Justin Herbert, and an incredible performance by the Chargers defense. I don't think it can be said just how well that defense played, considering they were down so many starters. But I think I'm going to start with the Chargers' offensive performance here before going into the Dolphins, right? The Chargers' offensive and defensive performance, and then going into the Dolphins' failures this week. So Justin Herbert was just incredible. Guy had 39 completions, threw for 367 yards and a touchdown, and he got both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams back for I think it would be the second time or third time all year, and both of them performed really, really well. Allen had 12 catches for 92 yards, and Mike Williams had 6 for 116, including an incredible sideline catch where he just basically contorted his body to catch the ball. One of the best catches I've seen by him or just by any receiver this year. And just showing his talent and how important he is to that offense to get a deep vertical threat going. But I just think the Chargers in general had a great offensive game plan here. They got the ball out quickly, having Justin Herbert run around, moving within the offensive line, shifting the pocket, setting up deep shots. They just didn't let the pressure get to him. They had Herbert constantly moving and using his talent. He's a great thrower of the football. He can make throws that a lot of other QBs can't make, and they really played into it this week. And I will say that before not going into the Dolphins defense, but their D-line played pretty well. Like, they were getting pressured, but Herbert was just able to avoid it, get the ball out quickly, hit his first read, and just take advantage of take advantage of a defensive scheme that wasn't prepared for it. And
I'm going to push back on this analysis real quick, if you don't mind, James.
Oh, sure, go for it. But before you push back, I still want to give credit to the offensive coordinator of the Chargers, Joe Lombardi, for having a good game, because he's been under a lot of scrutiny for the entire year, and I think he personally had a good game plan. So I just want to give him some credit. But yeah, you can push back, George.
I mean, here's how I look at this game. I think there's of both teams' offenses and defenses, there was one component of one team that played particularly bad, and that's why that team lost. And you could send your praises to the Chargers offense. I don't think they played that great. They gave up 4 sacks. They were tackled for a loss 9 times. They only scored 2 touchdowns. If you told Mike McDaniel before the game, Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler only scored 2 touchdowns, Mike McDaniel's going, yeah, we're going to win that game. Now the Chargers defense, it's a different story. They played great. And when I just look at the stat box, and I did watch a good chunk of this game too, it's incredible that the Miami Dolphins didn't win. They played turnover-free football. Miami didn't turn the ball over. They had 9 tackles for loss on offense and held the Chargers to 23 points. With Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Tua, Raheem Mostert, if they're holding teams to 23 points, they think they're winning that game most of the time. If you're holding that other team to 2 touchdowns, the Dolphins think they're going to go in and win that game. But just a lack of production on Tua's end. He only completed 10 passes. The running backs, Raheem Mostert averaged 3.4 yards per carry. Just a lot of punts. And it wasn't mistake football. It was just inefficient. But I think just an inefficient Miami offense was the determining factor of this game. I don't think Herbert played particularly well. He didn't play bad. I mean, he had a 67 QBR. Like, that's a little above average. But it was the reason the Chargers won and the Dolphins lost is Miami's offense just couldn't get anything going. And credit Derwin James and the Chargers defense, but
well, Derwin James didn't play. If you would actually watch.
Oh, really?
No, Derwin James and Joey Bosa didn't play.
I know Joey Bosa has been playing.
Joey Bosa didn't play. Derwin James didn't play. I'm pretty sure one of their starting linebackers and I think one or two of their D tackles were out. That defense, I will give you 100% credit with the defense. The defensive performance was incredible. I will give you that.
The defense, like I said, the Chargers defense wasn't doing anything special. No interceptions, no turnovers, but
I want to push back on them not doing anything special because you're right. While they didn't maybe have like an electric game on defense, they had a strategy going into that game and it was very clear. They wanted to get pressure on Tua, and while the sacks didn't really show, the Tua was under pressure for the whole game. There really wasn't many moments where he had time to throw, and the defensive secondary from the Chargers
got sacked twice and hit 4 times. Let's look at it on the other side. Justin Herbert got hit 7 times and sacked 4 times.
Sure, but watching the game, you can see Tua going through his progressions way quickly and jumping around in the pocket, even when there was no pressure. They were getting them. But even if you don't want to agree with me there, that's fine. You can still look at the fact that the Chargers' secondary performance was incredible. They jammed receivers. They jammed receivers at the line constantly. Had an incredible success rate with interrupting the route timing and making Tua uncomfortable. Because I mean, in my opinion, the way Tua functions really well as a QB in this league is he's accurate and he knows an offense really well. And then when he has the timing down, he can look like one of the best QBs in the league. His timing got disrupted. The receivers weren't making plays, and he looked really, really bad. He went, I think it was, I have it in my notes somewhere here.
I mean,
10 for 28 for 145 yards. And George, for you to say like
7 times, I mean that's good defense to make another team punt 7 times.
Yeah, I mean, and I think like, again, you say like the Chargers like going up 23 points isn't a good offensive performance. Their line's extremely hurt, first of all, so they're going to give up those negative plays. It's not like they have a healthy offensive line. Th're missing their starting left tackle.
At this point in the year, no one has a healthy offensive line. Find me the team with a healthy offensive line.
Sure, but their line's been decimated for the whole year. It still isn't healthy. So what I'm saying is the fact that they only allowed 4 sacks and 9 negative plays is pretty good considering what they've been doing all year.
You see, hear me out.
Either way,
I was going to say, this just sounds like, I'm going to be honest, I didn't watch this game, but both things you guys are critiquing about these teams just sounds like, or at least particularly Miami, just sounds like Steelers football. You know, we had it sounds like the Chargers, you know, they weren't necessarily supposed to win, which is a situation I feel like the Steelers walk into a little bit. You have a defensive targeting situation where they're targeting young or necessarily new QBs. I think that's been Steelers' defensive scheme they've had to go against all year. Targeting and pressuring Kenny Pickett, targeting and pressuring Mitch Trubisky. Because when Mitch was in, he couldn't run away from the ball, and people knew that. And when Kenny's in, they're trying to just get to him, because if he stays in the pocket or rolls out, it's dangerous for Kenny. And so
yeah,
the thing is Kenny gets sacked a lot more than, you know, like the Chargers may have got sacks that night. But the important thing is like James is sort of saying, the only tackles for loss and sacks aren't the only way you win defense. You know, if you could,
a lot of the times it's a big.
It's one way, but but for example, particularly when your game plan is to mess with the young quarterback, you don't necessarily need to sack him to pressure him. You need to get some big boys jumping up on the line. You need to get that pocket collapsing. You press routes a little earlier. You jump coverages. You switch up coverages. The stuff that, again, it's not like, oh, we're blitzing, so we're going to get a sack. It's like, oh, we know Tua does this, and he's young, and he might make this pattern, so we could play him here. Stuff like that, I feel like. And so...
No, yeah.
And I think that's the same thing, too. Like, Steelers were winning a lot of these games where if you would have told me that our opponents put up 14 points, I would have been like, we should have won this. We should have won this game, you know? But the Steelers weren't even necessarily getting sacks. When the first few weeks TJ came back, like, we still weren't getting sacks. But we just get near the quarterback. We're not necessarily touching him. It's just when you force
stats for that. Like, the QB got pressured 4 times in that game, or hit.
Well, hit.
QB hit's different.
That's
than
different.
QB pressure.
That's the thing. Like, you
I
don't
know
need to
that.
touch the quarterback.
Let me find the QB pressures.
But I anyway, while you're looking for that, I was getting into like that. I thought the defensive performance was better than the offensive performance, because in reality, like I think the game plan that Mike McDaniels had was good at the beginning, but he didn't adjust, because I think they had some good runs with Mostert toward the end of the game that they just didn't capitalize on. They didn't take advantage of a poor Chargers run defense. They tried to throw the ball, which is what they've been doing all year, and it didn't work, and they didn't adjust. And the other thing is that I think, George, you're kind of misrepresenting is like, you're like, the Dolphins' offense was abhorrently bad. Like, their 2 touchdowns came off of a fumble return by Tyreek Hill that was a lucky play, a good play by Tyreek Hill, but a lucky play. You can't act like that play was planned, but it was just Tyreek Hill getting a ball randomly and no one being near him because it popped out of the pile. And then
that didn't pop out. No, that didn't pop out of the pile. It was clearly showed after replay. The Chargers lineman just threw it out of the pile. Full on grabbed it and threw it to Tyreek Hill, which is just like, I feel like not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to just grab the ball, right?
But either way, that's a fluke play. And then on his deep touchdown ball, which I think was like a 50-yard bomb by Tua, that route was covered, and the D-back just fell. Like, if you watch that play, the D-back is covering it perfectly, and maybe Tyreek catches it for like a 20, 30-yard gain, which, like, I would expect him to. Like, that's Tyreek Hill. But the only reason he gets that touchdown is because the DB falls when the ball is being thrown. So Tyreek's wide open with no one near. Like, that's a contested ball if the D-back doesn't fall. So, like, Tyreek Hill had 4 receptions for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns, and those 2 touchdowns were fluky. Like, and no offense, the majority of his yards were fluky as well. Like, that offense was terrible.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what I was countering. That's exactly what I was saying.
No,
Miami lost because their offense was terrible, not because Justin Herbert was some hoop superhero you made him out to be.
I mean, Justin Herbert. I mean, a QB completing 39 balls out of 51 for over 360 yards. I'd good.
I would kill for a QB performance like that, George.
I don't know.
I have multiple
QB
performances. I have multiple QB performances I'm bringing up later in the show that are better than that one. But
there probably are. Don't get me wrong.
I think we've gone in our circles around this
game. Yeah, we should be.
I think we completed this one.
Yeah.
I do want to give credit, though, to Brandon Staley and Ronaldo Hill, the defensive coordinator for the Chargers, for having a great game plan for this game. I want to give them
one of the worst coaches in the NFL.
Oh my goodness!
You can have that opinion, but he had a great game plan for the game, and I think he's earned credit for
let's
winning
just
a game that everyone thought they'd lose.
let's give it to the Chargers. They got a dub that some of us didn't necessarily think they were going to get. They pulled it out. Are their playoff hopes are still alive, right?
Absolutely.
And that's my point.
Oh, yeah.
If they want to keep it alive, they got to keep winning games like that, especially against big opponents like Miami. So, I think we could kick it down to Georgie, down with the 49ers and Buccaneers.
I think this one might be a little less controversial.
Yeah, I agree.
Because Tom Brady got routed by Brock Purdy. My significant, special, surprise star player of the week last week. Brock Purdy was a 134 QB rating. May I might say that's way higher than what Justin Herbert's was. 2 touchdowns and no interceptions.
That's passer rating. QBR only goes up to 100.
Passer rating. You know what I meant.
Okay. I didn't. You said QBR.
George and James are angry this show.
James didn't know what I meant, but was able to properly correct me. Yes, you knew what I meant.
It's fire.
Brock Purdy with a 134 passer rating, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 35-7 rout of the GOAT Tom Brady. And we just have to say the 49ers defense is insane on the field and maybe as insane off the field, because if you saw the two players that intercepted Tom Brady had him go and sign the balls after the game. Now, that is ballsy and great sport by Tom Brady.
I thought Tom Brady was just gonna choke slam them like the Undertaker.
Tom Brady was happy the whole time. He was super nice. Like they were very nice about it. They were like, Tom, you're the GOAT. We've been watching you since we were 2 years old. We just want to know if you could sign these balls. I do think there's a chance Tom Brady didn't realize those were the interception balls. Because they just said, hey, can you sign these footballs for us?
Yeah.
But
they might
still an incredible move by the linebackers for the 49ers. And that defense is something else. They have Defensive Player of the Year, I would say front runner at this point, Nick Bosa. And Fred Warner's a top 2 inside linebacker in the league. The secondary's been playing well with Ward. That 49ers team's going to be scary in the playoffs for anyone to play. And Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, just takes the reins. And Brock Purdy played so good that they benched him in the 4th quarter. Like that you do in Pee Wee and high school football games when your quarterback's winning. We're in the NFL against a team that is in the playoffs.
Against Tom Brady.
Against Tom Brady. And Brock Purdy got to sit down because they were winning by that much. I mean, incredible performance.
No, I mean,
if he wasn't my surprise of the week last week, he would have been this week.
No, hats off to Brock Purdy. He played a great game. I'm not going to take that away from him. Also, just for reference, Herbert's passer rating was also over 100, but we don't need to get in that debate again.
It wasn't as high as Brock Purdy's.
That's fine, but no, I agree with you, George. Actually, it's fine. But I was just pointing out that Herbert had a good game. But anyway, going back into your game, the 49ers are just a legit team. They're an extremely good team, both offensively and defensively. Now, Brock Purdy's done well for 2 weeks. I feel like he's going to come back to earth eventually, but let him ride the hot hand while you can. I just think this is a referendum on how good of an offensive coach Kyle Shanahan is. Similar to how kind of like McVay really helped Mayfield show out with only 2 days of practice. Like Kyle Shanahan's an offensive genius. The dude has run some of the best offenses I've ever seen, and he has set up a system where Brock Purdy just doesn't really need to do much. He made some good throws yesterday. Don't get me wrong. I watched part of the game. He made a few really good throws, but a lot of it was just hitting the open guy and making just hitting the open guy, just hitting the right pass.
I mean, Kyle Shanahan has the most quarterback-friendly offense probably out there. I mean, he's doing the same things Jimmy Garoppolo is doing out there. It's nothing special at all. Dink him, you dime him, you hit a big play to Debo or Ayuk, and you go back to dinking and diming him. I will say his one touchdown pass to McCaffrey in the corner of the end zone was a great pass.
No, yeah, like I said, he had a few good passes. I'm not going to take it away from him, but I'm saying the majority of that game was him just hitting the first read or hitting the second read because, like you said, George, Kyle Shanahan's offense is so QB friendly, And let's also give credit to their GM, John Lynch, for just building an insanely stacked roster. I mean, they have Pro Bowl level players to all pro level players at almost every single position. Like, QB is their worst position. And it's like, and it doesn't matter. For them, it doesn't matter because they just have such a good system. It's insane.
Yeah, so 49ers are going to be scary. Snyder 2 weeks ago was right. The Buccaneers are frauds.
Yeah, Snyder's right.
I'm telling you, like, even after the comeback, I was just like, I don't buy it. I don't Tom Brady is either gonna like force them to win or he is going to be too far out. But I was talking about this a little bit of the show. I think we can bring it up here. I think the league is done with Tom Brady. I don't think that's right. I think the players. Oh, sure, but that's what I guess that's what I mean. Maybe not the GMs. I as a GM would love to play Tom Brady right now.
I think Todd Bowles is just a bad coach. I just think Todd Bowles isn't a good coach.
I mean, I think you have to ask yourself, does Tampa Bay have a better option than Tom Brady? I don't think Tom Brady's playing that bad.
Who's their backup right now?
Probably I don't think it's still Glennon. It's
It was that Florida QB they drafted.
It's a Florida kid, but I think he's
Oh.
Was it
Trask?
Was it Trask?
Trask.
Yeah.
Trask. Honestly, I really liked watching Trask. I had a roommate who was a Florida football fan in college, so I watched a lot more Florida football, I feel like, than the average person would. But Kyle Trask, he reminds me a lot of Big Ben. You know, just the inaccurate big boy thrower, that can heave it down the field when he needs to. Just he's like, someone's
I
down
thought
there.
Trask was more
oddly mobile.
Yeah, just odd. No, that's he's big. He doesn't look like he should run, but he can. And like,
no, fair enough. I mean,
he was a Heisman finalist. He was on the stage in New York. He had a good season. He was good.
No, and that's I think
he was solid.
And that's my thing. He has been following Brady for a little bit. Like,
that's probably their plan.
No, but that's my point. If your plan is to teach Trask, what more can this Brady teach him?
Well, it's like, I just think for the Buccaneers, first of all, I've said this for the last 2 episodes of this podcast. I think Todd Bowles is just a bad head coach. I think it's really showing because he has a pretty good roster, not a great roster, but a pretty good roster, and they really aren't succeeding. They're doing, average.
To be fair,
they're
though,
basically just a 500 team.
Yeah, I think
they have injuries, but
I think a big thing though
should be better.
Is there's also this whole Tom Brady media presence that I think just like, I feel like late in the season, usually people would be trying to gather with Tom Brady if he was somewhat gonna maybe go to the play. Like, this is where Antonio Brown, came to Tampa. This is where they start getting free agents. This is where the part of the season where Tom Brady's like recruiting his Infinity Gauntlet stones. He's like, Gronk, come on, out of retirement. Come on, we're gonna throw some more playoff passes. Like, and they just feel gutted. Where usually this is the time of the year that Tom Brady's picking things up. We see like things slowing down, and I think, what level do y'all think like the negative media presence has, just like in bringing people in and affecting Tom? I mean, obviously it's affecting Tom, but
I mean, I'd have to think it's a distraction in the locker room. I think it gets particularly awkward if the point in his career that Tom Brady's at versus the rest of the guys in that locker room. I mean, Tom Brady could legitimately be their father. There are 21-year-olds in that locker room, and that dude is in his 40s. I think that makes it hard to get that locker room, that brotherhood, that energy together. I also think there's a solid chance that Tom Brady, I know Tom Brady doesn't practice a couple days a week just because he doesn't need to, and it's hard on his body. I have to think that affects chemistry somehow. So I still think Tom Brady is one of the 32 best quarterbacks on planet Earth right now, which means he should be starting for a team. But
this is sort of,
I want him starting for my team. No.
This is going to be a question that I'm going to use when I lead on to my next section, so we could use it as a tie-in here. But my question is, and I think you might be able to see where it leans in, how many reps will a guy like Kyle Trask throughout the year get in practice with those the first receivers?
A lot.
a lot.
Especially in that situation where there are actual days of the week where
Tom
Brady
isn't showing up. You're right. Yeah. No.
Yeah. No, I'd say normally it'd be like
if it were
normally
if so
Brady
if
was
there
practicing every week,
if there
it
was
would
someone
be, like,
practicing
less,
every
but-
week in the field with him, so like I'm talking about the Steelers. If Kenny Pickett were ahead of you the whole week, like how much is Mitch getting?
Mitch
Usually,
will
like,
reps.
it's usually
not
like-
penny reps. I mean, speaking from actual football experience,
That's what I was sort of
You always have. I mean, receivers kind of rotate like all the time. I mean, you'll have 6 dudes who will be out there, could be out there in any formation or set with any quarterback or line. So the receivers kind of do their own thing. And with quarterback, and same thing with running backs, especially if you're a by committee team, it really doesn't matter if the 1s or 2s are out there. You're kind of just rotating your running backs. That's probably different with like a Derrick Henry, but outside of that, most teams are kind of just probably rotating their running backs.
Yeah.
With offensive linemen and quarterbacks, your 1s get a set of reps, and then a backup quarterback and usually like 1 guard and 1 tackle will plug in, and they'll get 1 reps with like your best receivers, your best running backs, other starting linemen.
Yeah.
So backup quarterbacks, I mean, really everyone, but backup quarterbacks especially will get reps with the 1s. I would think especially in a Steelers situation where Mitch was getting the 1 reps earlier in the year. So it's not a situation where, like, we all know unless Tom Brady dies, Kyle Trask isn't going in at quarterback.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Steelers are a situation where Kenny goes out there, throws 3 picks, is all rattled. You could throw Mitch in.
I don't think. See, like I don't think that's where we are at the state of the season. I think that's sort of my question, though, so I think that I can use that information to sort of lead us into our favorite team discussion. Do we have anything more on the Buccaneers, 49ers? Go, Brock Purdy, go. Take them all the way, Brock. Can they still go all the way? Are they that far out?
What?
I have no idea what the Niners' record is looking at.
The 49ers are going to win their division.
That's what I'm saying. I thought they were hot. Brock Purdy is hot. We don't even need Garoppolo. We don't need anyone back. We don't need
that
them.
team legitimately, they legitimately could go to the Super Bowl.
No,
I mean, they're just that good of a team.
I think that's gonna be particularly fun for us Youngstown boys. I think if that happens, I think we can have a little fun with that.
Like, I just truly believe the 49ers can be any team in the NFC. I just think they have that good of a roster that good of a system that it just doesn't matter.
All right. But let's move to our favorite teams. I'll start us off with a little bit less of an explosive game in the Steelers-Ravens. Much like I talked about a little bit at the head of the podcast, I was disappointed that the Ravens won, but I felt it. I wasn't particularly confident in us this week. The Steelers don't win games we're supposed to, and I think just looking at the game, there's not much need to talk about. Kenny Pickett goes down early with a concussion. I haven't got an update on that yet, but we're hoping that things look okay. He didn't look that bad. In fact, he came in, he got the hit that brought him to the ground, and then he played another drive, and when he came back to the sideline, he had symptoms, and they just sent him back. They're like, all right, we'll go check him out. So, he was still in football form, which is honestly a little scarier. That's what they were talking about maybe might have happened with Tua, where he might have got one head injury, and then, he was playing for a little bit because he still was able to, but... So it's definitely something we want to look at. I don't mind Mitch coming in. And this, you guys are real negative about Mitch coming in at the top of this thing. And yes, those interceptions look really bad. But when I look at Mitch's numbers, part of me is if we look away from that interception column, this feels like what we need. If we could just erase those 3 plays.
You mean the most important column for a quarterback?
Sure, but Mitch getting almost 300 yards in 22 completions, that sounds like Ben. We've been having so many games this year where we've been complaining we're not throwing the ball down the field, we're not doing anything. And that's finally something I can't complain about because we're throwing too many deep balls down the field now. We're just lobbing it down the middle. We're just Booth's down there somewhere, triple coverage.
I mean, I will say to that, I agree with George that you can't throw 3 interceptions in a game and be you had a good game.
Sure.
However, I do think what I've at least noticed from having Deontay Johnson on my fantasy team all year is that whenever Trubisky plays, the dude has a good game and gets involved. And specifically in this game, like you said, Trubisky had I think it was 22 of 30 for almost 300 yards.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the yard numbers and the completion totals were good.
It's just the interceptions. He
just had some bad interceptions.
He had two plays where he didn't see the guy coming under, and he had one really overthrown deep ball, which is Kenny overthrows 3 a game. If we're gonna start complaining about Mitch for doing that once, and
neither one of them are good.
Well, that's my thing. It's given the situation, I don't think Mitch's performance was radically any worse than it would have been potentially if Kenny was in. If anything, let's look at the way the offense was performing when Kenny was in. Kenny didn't complete a pass, and we weren't moving the ball. It wasn't until Mitch came in that we actually started getting into the red zone. The issue is we had 2 red zone interceptions. It's just we got down the field, we just threw the ball away. And he hasn't played in a hot minute, and you expect him to get a little rusty. And when he came in that third quarter, he looked significantly better. We kept pressing down the field. We got the touchdown. We were in this game. And heck, if you look at it, we had a blocked field goal. If that field goal doesn't get blocked, the Steelers win. That's my point. Mitch definitely didn't contribute to our winning so much that it's he carried us. But it's he did enough to win the game. I'm going to be honest, looking at that play again, I'm fairly certain the Ravens dude broke that rule where you're just allowed, you're not allowed to jump on the lineman to block a field goal, right?
You're not allowed to
jump over the long snapper.
But he was literally laying on the long snapper. It wasn't his whole body.
You're actually allowed to jump over him. You're not allowed to touch him.
He was using him as a pedestal to
you can't do that.
Then that's my point. It's just I watched that and I was I could be wrong, but my point is I'm not trying to make excuses like that. Again, I thought we were going to lose this game, so the fact that we even had a chance to win it was cool. Especially with the thing is what I've realized about the Ravens is I think you could put any quarterback that just has legs there and it'll work in their offense.
This is why you guys lost. This is very simply why you guys lost. You guys both started backup quarterbacks. And you know what happens what needs to work well when you have a backup quarterback in? You need to be able to run the ball. Ravens ran the ball for 215 yards, averaging 5 yards a carry, and guys ran it 65 yards, averaging 3 yards.
No, I know. Trust me, I haven't got to talk about how I don't understand how we have Cam Hayward, Devin Bush, T.J. Watt, Alex Heisman.
Devin Bush sucks.
I disagree.
Devin Bush is bad at football.
I disagree. He makes impact. He makes impact plays every game.
I like Devin Bush. I
think I don't think he's you hear his name at least once every game for a big play, and that's what you hire people to do. Look at Von Miller going to the Bills, where they literally said, "We are hiring you to come in and make plays in clutch time." That's what Devin does. He's not the best consistently. He's not the best consistently, and he's nowhere near as good as Von Miller. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he's gritty. He has that attitude. He listens to Mike Tomlin. In the Mike Tomlin system, he's the exact kind of player you want.
There's no real excuse for you guys giving up 200 yards on the ground.
No,
I don't know.
Watching it made me so angry. Because
I don't know the Steelers defense as well as you, but from my understanding of defensive linemen, obviously run stopping is much different than pass rushing. And I know your team is very good at pass rushing. And I know T.J. Watt and Cam Hayward are both good players, but it could just be a combination of them not being as good in the run game and having an off game, while the Ravens have one of the best run schemes in the league.
The issue is our run defense was good. We were the 6th best run defense in the league. Remember what I was talking about the Falcons game? We were the 6th best going into the Falcons game, and the Falcons were the 2nd best, and we held them to under 100 yards. Our run defense usually isn't the problem. It's we have really bad secondary, or not secondary. We have bad corners. And
Devin Bush, I'm not a PFF praiser. I don't know exactly how they come up with their grades and rankings. Devin Bush is the 50th ranked linebacker on PFF.
I'm not saying he's the best.
George,
have you looked at the Steelers season?
After last week, you literally just
have you looked at the Steelers season? I'm not saying he's the highest performer.
Some sort of a little bit of accuracy.
What does PFF say TJ Watt is right now?
I gotta go look up edge rushers.
Well, that might be rough just because TJ Watt's been out.
But that's my point. It's if TJ Watt's out, look at the Steelers' defense. Remember that stat? The Steelers haven't won a game that TJ Watt has gone out or started out in.
They did get one.
Oh, we might have got one over our street.
You got one win. No, but I mean, like, I didn't really get to watch a lot of this game. All I know is, I mean, Kenny Pickett looked like a rookie.
No, this is just the point is this is just a bad season.
TJ Watt at number 1.
So they do take injuries into account. Okay.
It's probably like by game performance. It's like for every snap you play, you have to, it's.
Probably snap count.
Yeah, and so like that's besides the point. My point is when I know I'm high on the Steelers. If you talk about how I was talking before the season, I said we could still pull out a winning one. But I was talking to my dad about it yesterday. My professional Steelers analysis extraordinaire. But he said it the same way I said. For the most of Steelers fans, they were projecting like 4 wins this year. So the fact that we're at 5-8 and we still have a chance to be in the playoffs somehow, like it's better than we were supposed to be at this point in the season.
No, sure. But kind of going back to your earlier question of Kenny Pickett, does he make the offense better or should he be benched? I mean, maybe in the long run he doesn't make the offense better, or he just does different things with the offense than Mitch Trubisky does. But the issue you have is you guys use the first round pick on him. He's gotten a lot of reps. I think unless he's hurt. Obviously, if he's hurt, you don't play him. But you just gotta stay the course at this point. You have to see what you have, and then in the offseason, you kind of make the evaluation of okay, we have 3 or 4 games of Mitch, and we have the rest of Kenny. How different does the offense look? Is it worth investing in Kenny for another year, or do we draft another guy? Because I think that's very important. And I think Kenny Pickett's done enough this year to warrant getting a second year. But I don't think you bench him for the rest of the year for Mitch just to get a winning.
I'm going to be honest.
Maybe you do get a winning season if Mitch plays, but I think the long term is better if you just
hear me out. I watched a different game this week where I was pleasantly surprised by a new system that I've quite never seen since college. I was watching what was going on down with that Dallas Texans game. They're using a new little funky offense down there where they have 2 quarterbacks for different things. For your plays where you're going to be running and rolling out, they've got their normal field general, but they've got another one that comes in for specialty stuff. Why can't we do that with Big Boy Mitch? Because it appears that while Mitch may throw the ball, a little low, if we told Mitch to just be our deep guy, and we told Kenny to focus on the short and mid, could we do that? I get it would be telegraphed.
Here's the mind of me as a defensive coordinator. Oh, hey guys, Mitch is in the game. They're throwing the ball.
But my point is, but hear me out. If that's how you play D, tell them to run inside slants and take the 5 yards every time.
And now you have your worst quarterback throwing the inside slants.
Yeah, but you're covered deep. It should be an easy ball.
It should be is the relative.
Well, sure, but that's my point. Is theoretically, if you telegraph it like that, and then the defense telegraphs in response, you should. I get it's probably more complex than that.
I'll give you an example, right? Back when Jay Gruden was the Washington head coach, their tight end core was very injured, and so they had basically only 3 healthy tight ends that could basically only do one thing. So every time a 3 tight end group came on the field, they knew the opposing defense knew it was going to be one of 3 plays, and so they knew exactly what was coming every time. If you give
my point is too, both of them can hand the ball off.
Unexpected.
If our run game improved, if Najee was actually playing at his top performance, and both quarterbacks can also, and we had a good run game, I think that's where the diversity would come.
The other issue that I see with it too is the Texans did it because no one was expecting it, and it worked because no one was expecting it. Yeah, eventually they'll expect it, but
the Texans sucked in the second half, if I remember right. The reason they were so good in the first half is a quarterback came out. Third quarterback, not the 2 that have been playing all year.
Well, no, but that's my point. They're just being funky with it. They're just playing people.
Yeah, but here's your problem. They brought out a guy that the Cowboys might have not realized was on the roster because he was the Texans' third-string quarterback.
Now, hear me out. Who does that sound
You guys
like?
are doing this with Mitch and
What
Kenny.
team does that sound like? Turning
You guys
somebody
are-
that nobody even like drafted or thought about into a stud. Who does that sound like?
I'm saying is if you tried implementing this game plan with
God
Mitch and
damn
Kenny, teams are gonna be prepared.
I also think
I
George,
know,
like
I'm
to
joking.
like kind of add on to your point that like I think like just observing it, right, like it helps when a QB gets into a rhythm during the game. Like it helps them complete passes, helps them run the offense. You kind of kill that when you just keep bringing in
Yeah,
new
well,
QBs.
James, our QBs aren't getting into a rhythm during the game.
Well, that's more of your. I blame your offensive coordinator for that.
No,
more than
I
do
know,
anything else.
I
But-
know, I know. It's this. Okay, we can move on from the Steelers. You
But
know,
yeah,
overall,
I think we got
not a
we got
great
George,
performance.
George Brown's
Yeah.
result to talk about now.
We're not talking about this long. The Browns lose to the Bengals 23-10. I got my legal pad up here. Playoff hopes are about lost, but not mathematically eliminated. But the worst part about me is I'm so delusional. I'm sitting here like, oh, there's a chance.
I'm the same. I'm the same. Steelers still. I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing the same thing, George. We're not dead yet.
Sean Watson looked better. Threw for a lot of yards. He wasn't throwing the ball into the dirt. But we scored 10 points, so how good did he really look? And it really comes down to if you can't run the ball, you can't win the game. I think Nick Chubb had like 30 yards. If Nick Chubb has 30 yards, you will lose the game. Kevin Stefanski has to get that through his thick head. If Nick Chubb doesn't have near 100 yards or over 100 yards, there's a 92% chance you're not winning that game. That is how the Browns win football games. And I have to say the Browns defense looked impressive. Even with we now have had 4 season-ending injuries to our linebackers, our starting linebackers. Anthony Walker, Sione Takitaki, JOK, and I'm even forgetting one. But we've had 4 season-ending injuries to our starting linebackers. Our defense again shut Joe Burrow down for the overwhelming majority of that game. I think they piled on a couple late, but like in the first half, Joe Burrow couldn't touch anyone or anything. But if you can't run the ball with Nick Chubb, you're going to lose the game if you're the Cleveland Browns. And it's as simple as that, and that's why they lost the game.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue though, George, is like when you're like, oh, they need to run the ball more. And I agree with you. Like, I agree. Like the way you guys win is with Nick Chubb doing really well, right? Like, I completely agree.
There's like some stat of like our record with Nick Chubb over 100 yards versus under 100 yards, and it's like staggering.
But there is an issue when you're down 13-3 at the end of the second quarter, and then I think the Bengals score right after that too. But no, that didn't. But either way, I just think when you're down in the game, like I think Stefanski gets too into like. I do agree with you that I think Stefanski gets too into like, okay, we need to score to get back into this instead of like, okay, let's let Nick Chubb get going. We'll score. We have the ability to do this. I just don't think he trusts the defense.
If you're down 10 points at half, I know what I'm doing from the Browns. On my first, I don't think we started with the ball, but I think we got a quick stop on them and had the ball early in the third quarter. I'm down 10 points early in the third quarter. I'm handing the ball to Nick Chubb 3 times, and if we have to punt, that's fine. But when we get that first down, that's how your offense gets going. We've thrown, since Deshaun Watson's been back, he's been throwing a lot more on first down, and it has not worked. We have 1 offensive touchdown in 2 games. Against defenses that are, against the Texans defense, which isn't good, we had no offensive touchdowns. And we had 1 against the Bengals that we had like 4 against on Halloween, less than 2 months ago.
Yeah, but I think divisional games are different, and also I just think the Bengals defense isn't like I think they played bad against you guys that game. Like I think they played more to their standard.
They definitely did play bad, and the Bengals do have a good defense. I'm also not the biggest Colin Cowherd fan, but one of the things I think he says and harps on that is true is that the Bengals have the most underrated defense in the league, and it's because they don't have an Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt on their defense. Like I can name a lot of players on the Bengals defense because I'm a big football fan, but like the average football viewer, you're like, oh, who's on the Bengals defense? They would go, I don't know.
I feel like
I know defense is really good.
I don't know. It's my thing here is, I can't necessarily give you an unbiased take here because the only pain for a Steelers loss is the medicine that is a Browns loss. And, I watched this game, and, I think this sets up. I was a little happy this happened because I think this sets up an interesting scenario for us, George. We both have to win out to go to the playoffs now, right?
We're not going to the playoffs.
Well, we both have to win out to theoretically do that, right?
Yeah, I would imagine.
What is our last week matchup?
It's us.
It's us. It's Steelers. Tell me the NFL. That wouldn't be great for viewers. That would be beautiful. Somehow these two terrible teams have fought to be 8-8, and they're both playing. The rivals are playing each other. Week 17.
I would
go. That's what I'm saying. Well, I don't think I'd be able to get a ticket. It would be the most expensive game of the year for either team. I feel like. Where's that one at?
Probably.
Where's the second game at?
Pittsburgh.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's gonna be insane.
I do think it's funny though how
if that happens, we're going
more about your teams trying to make the playoffs than I have my team that's currently in the playoffs. That's kind of funny.
Listen, James, it's the winning mentality. You got to have the winning mentality. You got to have big aspirations and goals.
No, but I do want to shout out the Browns. DPJ though, he's been having a great year. He's really showing out. Had a great game this week too. He's been quietly a rising star for the Browns that I've kind of noticed, and I just wanted to give him a little shout out because he's done great.
Dropped a touchdown on 4th and goal that hit him in the chest plate to make it a 1-possession game in the 4th quarter.
All right, he still had a good year.
He still had a good year, but
he still had a good game. He dropped a touchdown.
He went to the school up north and he dropped.
My question is though, at what point does Deshaun coming in affect you? Because for example, I saw it when the first pass that Mitch Trubisky came in, he threw a ball straight to a wide open Zach Gentry and he just dropped it because I think he put too much zing on it or more.
That's exactly what they've been saying. They said the receivers need to adjust to.
And that's what I'm wondering is Deshaun zips it a little more than I feel like Deshaun has a little bit more range in a cannon than Jacoby might.
I think it's not a little. I think it's significantly more.
Oh, it's definitely more. Oh, it's 100%.
And so that's my question: is how much time do you think these receivers need? I guess to adjust.
Hopefully one off season.
All right.
Want to get into your game because we're going slow today.
Yeah, I mean, not really a game.
Yeah.
It's bye week recap.
Yeah, you guys are on bye.
Yeah, I mean, a decent amount happened just with injuries, so I'll just give kind of an injury update for Washington, and then kind of just go into a quick little thing. But our originally he was our backup center, but he's been our starting center since week 4. Tyler Larson was placed on IR and is out for the year with a torn meniscus, and he also just could have a ton of other issues in his knee. He might have torn his patella or some other. So his knee's effed up. His knee's very effed up. So either Wes Schweitzer or Nick Martin will be the starting center going forward. I'd assume it'd be Wes Schweitzer. What?
Nick Martin.
Nick Martin is not good. He is not a good player.
Really good.
His brother is very good. I wish he was close to as good as his brother. I've seen that man play. He is not good. But I think it'll be Wes Schweitzer, but it's either Wes or Nick Martin. I'm not sure if this was mentioned last week, but Cole Holcomb is also out for the year with a foot fracture. They thought it was a sprain earlier in the year, but they found out it was a fracture, so now he's out for the year. Jamin Davis had thumb surgery during the bye week to fix a nagging issue, I think with a ligament in his thumb. They're not worried about it, though. They think he'll still be able to play next week. They got it done during the bye week because they had the extra week. Defensive ends Montez Sweat and James Smith-Williams are both in concussion protocol look now, but it's looking good for them to get out of it. There shouldn't be any worry on that end. Trey Turner's also their right guard is also expected to come back this week. He was dealing with an ankle injury that sidelined him for the last Giants game. Benjamin St. Juice, the Washington starting corner, is also looking to come back from an ankle sprain that sidelined him for 3 weeks. He's a little bit more up in the air, but he should be back. And then the right tackle, Sam Cosmi, went out of the game last week with another ankle injury. And he's supposed to be back. They're not sure if he'll play or not, but it's looking better for him. And then the last injury would be Carson Wentz is officially activated off of IR now, so he will be backing up Taylor Heineke. Rivera announced in a press conference that for the Giants game, Wentz will not be starting. He will be backing up Heineke, and Howe will be the third string guy again. And I guess the only other two things is just a prediction for me. I just expect Chase to play this week. I think he'll get 10 to 20 snaps. Chase Young specifically to play this week. I think they need him, but don't count on him playing because it's just so up in the air at this point. I really have no clue what's going on there. And then I also just want to give like a hand to Washington for actually, for the first time in so long, winning a bye week. They did not play a game and then somehow moved up to the 6th seed. So, we are firm in the playoff race with an actual legitimate shot to make the playoffs, unlike two other favorite teams of people in this group. So yeah, Washington had for the first time in a while, I feel like Washington had a very good bye week.
Listen here, you're just lucky you had a bye week that you couldn't lose during. You got another tough matchup coming up, so I don't want to hear it. You can't be disrespecting our playoff chances like that. We're just as likely to get in as you. 50-50 chance. We're either in or we're out.
No, you're not.
We're either in or we're out. We either do what we need to do to get into the playoffs or we don't.
Fair enough.
Mike Tomlin was rejecting interviews the whole week, and then we did that because he was like, it's Ravens week. We got to put some work in. And now after this bye week for y'all, I hope you put the work in because you're going to need to put the work in, James, this upcoming week.
Well, we'll get into that later in my game prediction.
Of course. But we've got a little.
Anything else to say before we move on to the neighborhood watch team?
I don't think.
I am excited.
I'm going to say
about our neighborhood watch team's performance.
Can we give it a little bit of a ball for the boys smacking the Titans? Yeah. Oh boy, Trevor Lawrence.
I got the stats here, guys.
The Golden Lock God, performing out of his mind.
Slinging it. He was playing some backyard football.
368 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions in a 36-22 in-division win.
Don't forget his rushing touchdown.
Wait, a rushing one too? I missed that.
Yeah, he did. That was his first touchdown. Yeah.
Passer rating was also higher than Justin Herbert's.
All right, listen. Okay, this is a little bit of a different. I don't think anyone was going to say otherwise there.
Trevor Lawrence, bald. Zay Jones, bald.
Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram had 40 fantasy points.
Where did that come from? I didn't know that man could play football.
I don't think he can. I think this was an anomaly.
Evan Ingram single-handedly put one of my buddies into the playoffs in a league that me and James.
Yeah, he did. He beat me with Evan Ingram.
Oh yeah, he beat James. I forgot. I mean, James is still in the playoffs, anyways.
Yeah, I'm playing him again this week.
Oh, you are? You're playing him in the playoffs?
Yeah, I'm
now?
playing him again. Yeah, but actually, my team was on bye, so it'll be different this time.
Let me note this in the breaking news. This is actually what we talking about. I have something we need to talk about in the breaking news department about fantasy football.
Oh God.
But,
all right, whatever.
But
yeah. Now what's awesome, and I think James is the one who told me this, so he'll have to back the validity. Jacksonville wins 2 of the next 3. Tennessee only wins 1 of the next 3. Jacksonville, Tennessee, Week 18 is for the division and the home field playoff, and neither one of them is getting a wild card, so it's for the playoffs.
Yeah, no, George is 100% right. We were talking yesterday, and so I looked this up because I felt like Jacksonville beating the Titans was huge, and it is because based upon their in-division records and their remaining schedule, this is assuming Jacksonville has to beat Houston for this to be true, but if Jacksonville beats Houston and one other team, and the Titans lose 2 of the next 3, and they still beat. I think they might have to lose to Houston, but I think even if they beat Houston, it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure if the Titans just lose 2 of their next 3, and Jacksonville wins 2 of the next 3, they will be playing for the division. I'll double check on the Houston thing right now, but I'm pretty sure that doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure if both teams win it, it'll just be about the same. But let me double check that real quick.
All in all, though, stellar game. The Titans are a scary team. People like to joke that Tannehill's old, but like King Henry and that offense should be scarier than 22
I need to see what Henry did real quick.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, but while George is doing that, it doesn't matter. Even if both teams...
Henry ran great. Henry ran 17 carries for 121 yards, averaging 7 yards a carry.
Oh, Henry had a great game. The Titans just were bad. The Titans were just terrible.
But I mean, the Titans' defense was terrible because Trevor Lawrence, dude. Oh my, dude! Evan Ingram's stat line: 11 catches for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns, 14.7 yards a catch.
I just don't believe that'll happen again.
Oh no,
I mean,
no.
I don't believe that'll happen again, but
If it does,
targets,
I think we picked the diamond in the rough.
12 targets for Zay Jones for 8 catches, 77 and a touchdown. That's a great.
Zay Jones is
Well,
big. I said it on the episode
Zay
1. I
Jones is
said
big.
to pick him up in fantasy. I said he's accelerating.
No, yeah,
No,
but
but
Evan Ingram
Jacksonville
back
had
when he was in.
3 fumble recoveries in that game and a pick.
Oh yeah, yeah. Their defense played really well, like for the first time, like all year. They did really good. But no, Evan Ingram, like when he was in New York, was like supposed to be like the next like Darren Waller, Kelsey. Like he was getting all like the athletic comparisons because he was like a monster athlete, but he just could not catch the ball. Like he had a dropping issue.
Criticism was not catching the ball.
Yeah, he just couldn't catch it. Like he would be open on almost every play, but he just could not bring the ball down. So I mean, hey, maybe if he's finally figured it out, he could be a real asset for him. I don't believe he has. I think it's more of a fluke than Evan Ingram's the next like tight end 1. But he played a great game. I can't say anything. But going back to the playoff thing real quick, yes, Jacksonville does have to beat Houston. Like Jacksonville can't lose to Houston, but even if Tennessee beats Houston, as long as they both beat Houston, it doesn't matter. So as long as one of Jacksonville's wins is against Houston, they just need to win 2 of their next 3. And if the Titans win 2 or lose 2 of their next 3, they'll be playing at the end of the year for the division, which could be sweet.
The game of the week right there.
Oh yeah.
Were you getting ready to move on to the next portion?
I was gonna say I think we're all good here with last week.
We spent a lot of time on bulk portion 1.
Yeah, no, but we've got stuff to move on to. We've got some breaking news, but sort of like I mentioned there, I think we're gonna start this off with just a little bit of fantasy talk. Sounds like we all play fantasy at least. It sounds like you two are in a league together. And so me and George noted an interesting difference between our fantasy leagues, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
That you guys said you're in playoffs now, right?
Niter, the league we're in together is the only league that I'm not in playoffs in.
Well, that's sort of what I wanted to know. When I had our setup, I was told that this was like the new standard. So, James, we still have 1 more week of regular season fantasy football in my league. Because of the extra, week of football overall.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Oh,
I think the reason that's being avoided is because of the potential of people resting during.
Oh yeah, but I think that's part of fantasy.
That's the issue.
It's the same thing with people getting injured. You just got to draft the backups.
I don't think so. I think that's kind of like that. It's kind of like when you go to like I compare it to like when people would like used to go to Cavs games when LeBron was playing and they used to just have the division locked up or the seed locked up and they would just rest LeBron and people would be like very angry because he wasn't playing even though he's healthy. It's kind of like that, like just kind of BS.
Oh, I understand.
Like, Cavs tickets.
What?
The tickets were cheap.
No, when LeBron was there, they weren't cheap.
Oh yeah.
Not when he was resting.
Well, they tried to not tell people he was resting, so the cheap tickets didn't get cheap.
Yeah, yeah, they get cheap after the
entry report comes out at 7:30.
Yeah, like people are half the stadium's filled up already.
Oh, also George, this is like a fun fantasy. In our 1 league, we are playing each other in the first round of the playoffs.
The league I'm the man and the commissioner of.
Yeah. Because you're the 4
each
seed, I'm the 1 seed.
But I guess here, still sticking on the fantasy talk, and we all play it. We all disagree. I personally like the extra week, but we don't need to argue that too long. I want to hear everyone's best pick and best or worst blunder of their fantasy season.
Oh, dude.
Which one?
The biggest one. You can mention some other ones minorly, but let's hear your big one.
Okay, so my first one, I have this guy in 2 leagues. He's been a lifesaver this year. He wasn't a lifesaver last week, but overall he's RB8 on the year. Got him for reasonable value in 1 league and drafted him in the other league. Drafted him real late. Mondre Stevenson. It's been wonderful for me.
Ramondre Stevenson won me my game last night by doing nothing.
Yeah, so he got injured last night, so he had 3 points. I guess it's 2 nights ago now. But Ramondre Stevenson's been RB8 this year. He's been producing steadily every week. And I drafted him real late in one league, and I traded for him. I gave up a decent load for him, if I remember. I think I actually gave up Mark Andrews, and I got Stevenson and a couple other pieces. I don't regret that trade. In the league where I did that, I was the worst team in the league. James is in that league, and
That was
somewhat turned it around. So Ramondre Stevenson's been my star of the year.
Let's hear the blunder, George. Where did you go wrong?
Let's go do the stars first. Then
Okay, fine. Well, I'm going to go next on my star because mine's real easy. No one's going to be surprised by it. He's making an MVP caliber season for himself, and I've already talked him big on my show for being on my fantasy team. But this dude's been putting up like 25 points a week. Like, his bad weeks are when he puts like 20 up. Jalen Hurts has been the carry of my fantasy team this year. And in a year where I drafted Jonathan Taylor and Leonard Fournette as my running backs, or Javonte Williams, excuse me, we've had some rough injuries. I had Rashad Bateman. I had who else did I have? I have Jacoby Myers. He's been in and out. We've been all over the place. But the certain definite victory for me, and it wasn't a complex one, so it's not like a diamond in the rough or anything. But Jalen Hurts, been a dog. I really like watching the Eagles, and makes me love that Steagles relationship that we used to have. I really think we should maybe bring it back, because if we could combine the offense of the Eagles with the defense of the Steelers and what they already got over there, I think the Steagles would be the most dominant force. I think you could say that about most two-team combinations. So,
yeah.
I mean, the league combined with my team, they'd be great.
Hey, we were the Steagles before. We were the Steagles before. It makes sense. But James, let's hear yours.
It's kind of I'm kind of doubling up here.
That's fine.
The Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce.
Oh, that's one connection. That is one thing. Those are two puzzle pieces that fit right into each other.
Like that connection this year has won me so many games. If I was very high on Travis Kelce in my one league. I traded for him in another league, but in my one league I drafted him in the second round. People were kind of like, I don't know if that's great. I feel like you could have gotten better value. And I was like, nah, man, you'll see. And then I drafted Mahomes, and George can tell you the 4 touchdown Travis Kelce game was the week that I played George, and it killed him emotionally and in fantasy.
Even if Kelce only gets 1 tutty, Stack wins you the week. Kelce gets 2 tutties. We're talking high score of the week. Kelce has had multiple 3 touchdown games this year and a 4 touchdown game this year.
It's been so beautiful.
You don't even need to start anyone else. You have 8 combined touchdowns between 2 players.
Okay.
It's a great time, let me tell you.
It's true. I'm going to be honest. Again, I feel like me and James, like, those are just, like, things you do, and you're like, oh, this was going to be, this isn't a gamble. This is just, like, worst case scenario, he gets, like, 1 or 2.
Oh, yeah, no, dude, 100%. Like, I like, normally I have a rule where, like, I don't draft a QB until, like, the 5th round, but Mahomes was still there in the 4th, and I was like, I don't think I can let this pass up.
No, I forget where I got Hurts at, but I think we could do our blunders, our failures. To improve over the years, you got to make better decisions the next year.
I have 3 failures.
3.
To be fair, I'm in 5 leagues.
Okay, that's fair. I'm only in 1, so I'm a little more limited.
First one. I was so high on this guy. Night I drafted him, I changed my team name to include his name in it. Thought I got great value in him for the round I got him in. I don't know if I've started him more than 1 week. Ladies and gentlemen, Darren Waller.
Ooh.
Absolute bust at tight end.
The Raiders are just a bust this year.
Now, here's the one.
It's
the most devastating to my fantasy aspirations overall on the year. I drafted this player in the 2nd round in 3 of my 5 leagues. I thought he was the next Jonathan Taylor of last year. I thought Broncos country was going to ride. I had Javonte Williams on IR in 3 different leagues right now. Javonte Williams devastated my year. And last one. This one's a little peculiar because a lot of people probably didn't have this dude rostered after week 2. But I hung on to him and hung on to him and started him and tried to trade him and started him. Chase Edmonds. Absolute bust. Do you want to know who got picked? One pick after I picked Chase Edmonds in my league.
Who?
Damian Pierce.
Ooh.
You want to know who got picked 1 round after that?
Ooh.
Kenneth Walker.
Oh, George. No.
But I sat on Chase Edmonds for half the season.
All right. Well, I've got some pretty simple blunders. I mean, I think I'm not gonna call Javonte a blunder for tearing his ACL. I'm just I'm sorry.
Do your knee training in the offseason.
No, I'm not gonna critique Rashad Bateman for whatever. What's wrong with him? Because he's been on my IR for.
He's been on IR for a while. Yeah, I don't know what's
he has like a foot injury or something.
Yeah, it's foot injury. It says. Oh, Liz Frank. Oh, yeah.
Well, Liz Frank's been bad lately.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of Liz Frank. We could talk about that a little bit later too.
Holmgren out for the year in the NBA. Never even got it.
Oh, that dude looked way too thin though. Like I knew that guy was getting injured.
But you think he's gonna break a couple ribs or snap a leg? It's his foot injury. That's probably 18 feet.
I could talk to Kobe Myers going on and off injury. I could talk fucking DJ Moore just not playing football.
Except like once every 4 weeks he decides to play.
Yeah, So I think my biggest blunder this year is gonna be my first pick of the draft. I hated the fact that I got the first pick. I was like, hey, I tried to shop him week 1. I knew it was a blunder, but there's statistically nothing else you could do that pick him. Jonathan Taylor has had the most underwhelming fantasy year of my life. It has killed my fantasy team more than any team guy just disappearing, because you can't not start Jonathan. You can't not play him. He's projected to score so much when he's in. He's been a disappointment. The Colts in general have just been a disappointment. And, I think the fantasy numbers reflect that. And I think if I had picked anyone else, especially once McCaffrey got out of his broken system down in Carolina, oh my God, I'd be first in the league. I'd be done. James, you could take it.
Well, my one league, I really haven't blundered. I drafted well. The other one though,
he doesn't blunder.
The other one's I mean, George, you've seen my team in the other league. That team is insanely good. But the other league that I'm in with George, there was a few blunders, three specifically that I can think of. 2 of them aren't too bad. The other one is very painful for me. The first one being drafting Jameson Williams. I really thought that dude would come back and be good, and there's still a chance that happens. But my man's just been on IR the whole year. He's just been a non-factor for the whole year. It's just been me waiting and waiting and waiting. And he's on my roster now. He finally made it up to the roster, but he's not starting. He's firmly in the bench spot. But there was that move. I traded Jacoby Myers for Michael Carter instead of trading him for Cordero Patterson. That one was bad. That one was
I know
bad.
you guys can't see it, but I'm big on Mr. Cordero Patterson. I got his autograph right on my desk.
We've been over that one before.
I don't care. I love that guy. That guy's. I tried to trade for him so many. I've tried to trade Jonathan Taylor for him, and I've been told no. That's how bad of a year he's had.
I really thought Michael Carter would become the guy again after Breece Hall got hurt, and instead it's Bam Knight. So what are you gonna do? But the
Bam
real
Knight. What a great story.
no, honestly, I love the dude.
He
Great
saved.
guy,
He won
but-
me. He won. I had both. I had Carter and Bam, and I had to play one of them, and I played Bam, and it saved me. It won me my fantasy. Like if I would have played, I would have lost. Bam saved me this week. I hate
but
that his name
biggest-
is Zonovan on the app. I like Bam Knight so much better. That's such a better football name.
It should just be Bam Knight. I don't know why it isn't, but the biggest blunder that I've had in fantasy in this league, I think technically the Michael Carter one's probably just the biggest like overall like trade blunder because I could have had Patterson and I just chose Carter, but just the overall construction of my running back room this year in that league. When I say that room is held together by duct tape, I think I'm doing it. I think I'm doing it service. I think Scotch tape would be more accurate. I think
James,
I have had
I think it's
over
important to
15
note
running
you
back
didn't-
start.
I think it's important to note you went receiver, tight end, receiver in the draft, or tight end, receiver.
No, I
receiver?
did. No.
What was your first running back pick? Round 4 or 5?
I think it was 5 or 6.
Yeah, well, James, it doesn't matter. Even if you pick for receiver 1-2 like I did, I went Jonathan Taylor, Javonte Williams first 2. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, listen, I stand by this. I stand by the no running back strategy because I did it in the other league. In my running back core in the other league was Ramondre Stevenson, Tony Pollard, Damian Pierce, and Najee. So I traded for Najee, but it was ETN at the time. So like I stand by the no receiver. I stand by the no receiver move. I just did not do it well in that league.
Yeah, all right.
I think I've had 15 plus running backs on my roster.
Yeah, I
this
think
year
we
for
can
that.
move on from the fantasy talk. I have a little bit of injury update, but we'll just go through this real quick because there were a lot of injuries. You know, we could talk a little bit more about the general health implications. You know, I feel like every week we start to see, we're seeing. I feel like for as much of a impact or like focus that the NFL is kind of trying to put on injuries now, I feel like we notice them a lot more than I was before, and that could be because we just have better like reporting systems and stuff to actually identify it. But I mean, when you look at the injury update this week, it was like pretty gruesome. We got Kenny Pickett not looking good for even next week, potentially getting murky reports. Russell Wilson going down.
While we're here on Russell Wilson, quick update on Russ versus the toilets.
Oh, yep. Much more important than his injury update.
After an impressive 3 touchdown performance, Russ is now 1 touchdown away from tying the toilets, 2 away from beating the toilets.
Well, this
now
is
he's
important,
injured.
but
He's gonna be back.
we gotta hope if he needs to get back in. He needs to get off his home toilets. He needs to get in to beat them.
I need Russell Wilson come back week 18, being 2 touchdowns to beat the toilets. I need to see what happens.
Kyler Murray, potential season ending, right? I heard ACL
Oh
tear.
yeah. Oh, that dude's ACL's torn.
Yeah. I heard there was a little injury with Tom Brady, some hand issues during the game, potentially, they're saying. But on the other side of that game, Debo suffering pretty bad injury as well, from what I understand.
So now new reports, Debo should be back
Oh.
in the playoff.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's not like good.
Like bad. Apparently, it's not as bad as they originally
Yeah,
thought.
but even like there's even more QBs like Mike White and Tyler Huntley for the Ravens. Even like there were just so many.
Mike White. You
Mike
see
White
the play
got
Mike
destroyed.
White got injured on?
No, I did not.
Mike White got murdered by Matt Milano.
But there's even more receivers too. Like I heard Tyreek. It looks like Tyreek Hill has an injury potentially, and for the
Yeah.
Bengals, they had both T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd now day to day with injuries.
They played T. Higgins weird in that game. I don't think he ended up catching anything.
No,
He
okay.
was
I
very
actually
limited.
heard about this. This is so dumb. I hate Zach Taylor for this so much. Is that like during warm-ups, T. Higgins tweaked his hamstring, and he like went and told the athletic training staff, and they told the coach, and they're like, "We think he can play, but like he said he tweaked, he doesn't feel great." And they were like, and Zach Taylor was like,
Play it.
No, let's play him. You know, let's see how it goes. And then after the first play, he left because he's like, dude, I can't play on my hamstring. I freaking hate Zach Taylor for that so much, dude. Because I lost.
No,
my,
but
it didn't
and that's
matter.
sort of I kind of wanted to guide the question in this way. George is having
Sorry, I
some
just
fun.
heard someone-
I know that
I
sounded a
just
little
heard-
fun event. George is. It sort of leads me to the question, and it's going to be interesting if whether or not George has the insight into it now that we don't have him on the mic. But okay, he's back. He's good. It seemed to be momentary. What is why do we think we're seeing so many injuries? Is it just we're this late into the season, guys are getting beat? They're taking a lot, or do we think there's maybe some missed calls, some like dirty things? Because like I said, just like with the Kenny injury, it looked like he got hit on the play. They were like, "Oh, go check him." We checked him out. He got through the concussion protocol, came out, played another drive, and then it was like, "Oh no!" And they had more symptoms on the sideline. And turns out he had a concussion from the first hit. So,
George, do you want to start this, or do you want me to start?
I think there's two parts to these injuries we should talk about: the knees, the Liz Franks, the ankles. That's football. Injuries happen every year, whether they're more pronounced this year or not. ACLs always kind of seem to be the injury. I mean, I know that's what Kyler just went down with. ACLs are. It happens in football. It happens in every sport.
Yeah, it's the CLs, the ACLs, and the MCLs. I always hear about.
Concussions are now we're getting into a whole different conversation. I think with the Kenny Pickett play particularly, first of all, you have an argument for roughing the passer.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say like that. I don't know how we didn't get that.
Whether you get the penalty or not, that's regardless of the outcome, the injury, the hit happened. I think concussions are too subjective for there to be effective protocol to take place. So essentially how concussion protocol works, and they're really trying to improve this right now, but they had a big blunder. I got to bring this up real quick. The Patriots-Cardinals game. Devontae Parker.
Oh, yeah, no, that's the one I didn't get to talk about.
Got up and got all stumbly and couldn't walk in a straight line. He looked like a newborn giraffe. Ever seen videos of those? But
no, I saw that, and I saw Devontae after the game being real vocal.
Now. Yeah, they have people in the box now who their job is to watch the game and make sure no one is a concussion.
Yeah, no, we had a game. They stop the play if they see someone. So we had someone in the Steelers game I know that got pulled out because of that.
Devontae Parker did not signal to that. And he was obviously out of it. And he was so obviously out of it that he tweeted after the game, I think it was the next day. He was like, "Yeah, how did no one pull me out of that game?"
Well, no, AJ. Well, the thing is, you watch the clip on the field. AJ Brown, or not AJ Brown. Marquise Brown, wrong Brown.
Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown is waving people. He's like, can we get him out of here? Come on, this guy, the teammates noticed it and tried to get the refs to even do it. And can the ref not call up, and be like, hey, is this guy looking all right?
That's not in the
I don't think it's on the
responsibility. I mean, the refs have a lot of responsibility.
But I feel
between the clock and penalties, and that's why there's professionals whose job, that's their job. I mean, the refs are just doing their job.
But that's my point. If you've got
here's the problem with concussion protocol. And I've been through concussion protocol 3 different times in my career. It's ungodly subjective, because the number one thing with a concussion is are there ways to diagnose a concussion? They do the pen test. Your eyes need to follow the pen. And if your eyes can't follow the pen, you're really messed up.
Yeah, no, I had to do. I've been through concussion protocol once. It was when I went headfirst into a curb off my scooter.
There's a lot of people who will have concussions and their eyes will still follow that pen. So really, concussions come down to how you feel. Does your head hurt? Can you sit in a room with bright lights? Can you look at a computer screen for an ample amount of time? You have full cognitive function, and dudes can lie and cheat on that to get back onto the field. And these guys are all competitors. I mean, every dude in the NFL has a competitive spirit that's second to none, really. To get to that level of football, you have to. And so, I know this used to happen in high school ball. You take when everyone's healthy at the beginning of the year, before you play a snap of football, everyone takes a concussion test. It has different things like reaction times and click this button, type this word, which of these is red, stuff like that. Just
simple stuff.
Cognitive function.
Yeah.
Dudes would tank that test on purpose. So when they gave them the test when they thought they had a concussion, they'd be like, "Oh, it's the same score they got the first time."
Oh.
He's doing better than he did the first time.
He's in the mode. He's all in it.
Because concussion, there's not ample technology right now to properly, objectively diagnose a concussion. Until that innovation takes place, concussions are going to continue to rain down on the NFL, and I think it's honestly, obviously helmet technology is something big that needs to continue to improve on. I'm very shocked that helmets aren't becoming as technologically advanced as they
And that's
should be.
I'm gonna be honest. Like I don't mean
Remember
to.
the little soft paddings that they put on top of their helmets, and they were forced to like wear in practice in the preseasons. And
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah, yeah.
They said like empirically these were reducing concussions by like 20 to 30%. Like we can't find a way to get that stuff.
Well, that's sort of
the
my
helmet.
point. You know, I don't mean to be like this. I don't mean to bring some outside stuff, but we're at the point in the United States where we could put little metal plates on our chest to like stop bullets. I think we should be able to figure out something to stop a person.
You're telling me you just stuck a random foam pad
Yeah.
you found in like the corner of the locker room one day on a helmet and did a research study, and you're like, wow, this reduced concussions, and we still can't figure out how to get our helmets better?
Yeah, like literally, like
Yeah.
literally,
so-
like why don't they just put like a pillow surface on the edge of the helmet? Why does it have to be hard on the outside?
It would not. How would that change the game in any way? It wouldn't.
That's my point. No, but that's why does the helmet have to be hard on the out? Like I,
no,
They used
yeah,
to be soft. They used to be like leather.
No, but my point is
They
like
were always
I'm
soft.
still fine with a hard layer on the inside. I'm fine with a hard layer on the. But imagine putting a leather cap over the helmet. You know, I
Maybe
guess.
they were onto something in the 1930s, dude.
I mean, there's like a physics element to this that like I don't think any of us are like worse than.
Hey, I took AP physics.
Tyreek Hill's gonna run a 4.36 instead of a 4.32 with the styrofoam on the outside of it.
But
If
like,
anything,
kinda
them
going
moving
off the
slower is
concussion-
better. It makes it harder to get the injury. Like, if everyone,
No,
that's my point. If everyone's wearing it, then everyone's gonna be just as affected.
No, but the one thing I want to talk about, because I agree with George about the concussions. Basically, it's kind of hard to diagnose right now. They need to get a better methodology for that. But where I will push back a little bit is in terms of the like leg and knee, like the leg injuries specifically, because like typically like oblique injuries, shoulder injuries, like that's just getting hit. I completely agree with that. Like, but with the leg injuries, especially the non-contact ones.
Are we going to talk turf versus grass right now?
Oh, and 100%.
That's valid. That's something else. I
Grass-
agree.
Because
Agree
like
with that.
in the past 20 years, I forget who did the study, but in the past like 20 years in the NFL, like knee and like leg injuries have like increased at a dramatic rate, and at the same time as that, grass fields have been becoming less and less prominent, whereas turf fields are becoming more and more
I feel like it
prominent.
should be
And actually,
pretty.
there's like
I feel like there should be
Sorry.
easy ways to do the studies to be like what injuries happen on grass and what injuries happen
no,
on turf.
no, it's
They-
funny
they
because
haven't done- so they've
FIFA
actually
did a study.
specific- So
Oh.
I've looked at the studies on this. There's two different types of turf fields that are used in the NFL. One is it's like grass blades, and there's really no difference between that and grass. On the impact of injuries to the like non-contact injuries. However, it's called split turf. So it's like a blade, but it kind of comes like this. I don't know if you can see my camera, but so it's kind of like that. There's like it connects at the bottom and the top, and there's a hole in it. I think the claim is that the spike will get caught in that hole and cause the pull. And that's why more people are tearing their ACLs on that turf. And I mean, if you ask any NFL player, they're like, yes, I want to play on grass. The NFL is multi-billion-dollar corporation at this point. Every one of these owners, besides Dan Snyder, is more than financially capable.
Well, I think it just
No,
makes.
the Las Vegas Raiders guy is not.
Well,
He's
I think
very
it
much
just
a-
makes sense, you know. Like you can't tear up a turf field, but you can tear up a grass. Like instead of tearing up
know,
your
but
I think
leg.
the Kelsey brothers were talking about is like when you get tackled and you hit that turf, it's hard, but the grass has like some give to it.
Yeah, you
No,
can.
yeah. I mean, if you really want to look at it too, like the NFL Players Association has like been asking for this for a while, and they're really pushing hard for it this year specifically. And the reason I tried to bring this up earlier because I know George has looked at some studies too, but there was a while, this like I think 10-ish years ago, 15 years ago, like FIFA, like the World Soccer Organization, was like pushing for their the soccer leagues they represent. I think it was specifically the Premier League. The Premier League was like pushing for their fields to be turf and not grass because it was cheaper. And all the players were like, no, that's bad, no, that's bad. And so FIFA, like the World Soccer Organization, did a study to see like, okay, would injuries actually increase if we did this? And they found it was significantly yes, like that, like knee injuries and leg injuries. I know it's soccer versus like football, but like the
it's the
injuries
same
for
idea,
your lower body would
Especially
significantly
non-contact.
increase.
Yeah.
Much similar idea.
Yeah, that would significantly increase, and so they didn't do it. They actually outlawed turf. I don't know if they outlawed it, but they were basically like, no turf
Public
fields.
service announcement. Us here at the Neighborhood Watch Party are supporters of grass fields across the entire national football.
Now this begs another question though. You want to talk about the fields? I want to talk about the stadiums. Let's talk about the Miami Dolphins stadium, maybe, where half of the field is in the sun if they play a 1:00 game and their half of the field isn't. Where we're talking like half the side field is 30 degrees hotter than the other half.
I don't have a problem with that.
You don't have a problem. That seems a little unfair.
Yeah,
that's nature, man.
That's not nature
it's
because it's architecture. They designed the stadium to give them an innate advantage.
I mean, yeah, but they would have to choose the side. I guess they could just choose the side every time if they want the coin toss. But
I'm sure they have the same side.
No, it's the home side. No, it's their side. It's two different sidelines. Yeah, it's
the sideline.
Yeah, that's not one half of the field.
There's innate home field advantages. Like I know, I'm talking high school football here. Like when you go play an away game, like late in the year and it was cold.
Oh yeah.
Your sideline didn't have any heaters on it, but you should that opponent sideline had a whole log cabin out there.
No, but that's my point. Yeah.
Heaters and hot chocolate on the sideline, and
you
got like two old rusty
literally,
benches.
James, in the Miami Dolphins field when it's a 1:00 game, the sun only shines on the away team sideline.
Yeah, I kind of agree with George. It's just home field advantage. Like, I mean, in baseball,
no, but
you have different ballparks that have different.
No, but it is an issue because like if you look at the amount of people that like because the average temperature on the sideline for them then is like 105 degrees.
Oh, here's how you solve that if you actually find that to be a substantive problem through the National Football League. Put the Dolphins games at 4:25.
Well, no, the thing is I think that's what they try to do is there's not that many. Like through a whole season, you're probably, even if they schedule it normally, you're only going to have like 1 or 3 or 4 1:00 home games, maybe at most.
For the Cleveland Browns or Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, but like I think they were expected to be a little better this year. But my point is like, I get that you can't change the stadium as it is, but if they were going to build a new stadium, like, do you think it would be unfair to be like, hey, you can't do that?
I mean, I'm sure like you can't just like, I don't know, like, I think that's like minute enough to where it's like obviously if you just
there have been like a lot of player reports complaining about it though. That's my thing, like.
I mean,
the thing is too is like I get what you were saying about like the hat. So like in Heinz or Acrisure, there's the open end of the field and then the like closed end, and so like when it's windy, the one end of the field is significantly harder to kick into.
Yeah.
So like that kind of stuff, I'm like a little because it's like you could choose to both. That's even. Both teams deal with it at different halves of the game, but. The like baking your opponent with heat rays.
Yeah. I mean, it probably should be even. Like, there's nothing you can really do about it because you can't just be like, oh.
All stadiums should have a dome.
No. I disagree.
There's nothing cooler than a snow game in Buffalo.
No, you can open it. You can open it.
Yeah, but they're not going to open it if it's snowing.
I think they should.
Guys, we have.
They should.
We have this cool dome on our stadium, but we're gonna leave it open.
No, I mean the retractable dome.
You only leave it open when it's going to cause an unfair advantage. Or leave it closed when it's
signed the best running back in the league, and they're playing an air raid, and they have 6 feet of snow coming.
No, but they don't really. But like owners don't really care that much about that. They care more about getting people to like go to the game. So like they're gonna be like, oh,
I
it's
understand.
snowing.
We're talking about the
less people go to the
game,
games.
though. We're talking about the game. We're not talking about
Yeah, I don't
owners
want.
making
Yeah.
money.
No, listen. Again. I prefer no dome because I think like the outdoors should be a factor.
No, that's fine
But, like,
too. But
He prefers
but,
no
like,
dome because Dan Snyder can't afford one.
Dan Snyder can't afford anything.
all right,
so.
all right. But I think that's enough.
We got to move on.
Yeah.
I hate Dan Snyder.
We've got back to our
do we want to do
previous.
surprise?
I like it.
Or do we want?
I like it. I love it. Yeah, we got to talk our surprises.
All right.
So I think I could start it off here. We're going outside of the NFL to something that I just happened upon. I was playing video games down in my basement. I got off my computer. I went upstairs and turned on the TV. And I walked into some of the most entertaining last minutes of a football game I've ever seen. This is from my understanding, the first Army-Navy overtime ever. Right? Ever. And I heard that and I was like, I got on and I got up literally as they were doing the stuff to decide which half they were on for the field. And I saw it. And I was like, I don't think I've ever seen an Army-Navy overtime. And then they said it. I was like, this is going to be good. Army comes out. 25-yard run for a tutty. First play.
I need to point out, Army's only touchdown that game came special teams too.
Yeah.
So their offense did nothing.
Their offense did nothing all game. Comes out overtime. Cranks out a 25-yarder. The place is going insane. Army's home team. Navy comes out. Having not thrown or completed a pass the entire football game, throws a 25-yard bomb for a first play touchdown. And I was just like, no way. This is electric. And sadly after that, it didn't get as electric anymore. You know, it slowed down. I think a field goal just won it. But I got to say.
Big fumble by Navy on
Yeah.
the goal line.
Yeah.
By their stud running back, who there's arguments that he crossed the plane, but video evidence was not indisputable. There's just a big pile of
Yeah, and so it could have been more fun. Like, it was set up to potentially explode into one of those crazy, like, 6 overtime slugfests. I thought that would have been great. But I'm putting it as my surprise of the week because I genuinely had no idea what was happening. I just turned the TV on, and I was pleasantly surprised to see it.
Speaking of that, Nader, did you see what Navy did after they lost the game?
Oh, no.
They fired their head coach.
Oh my God!
They lost.
He had such. It was so fun though. It was cool. It's not his fault. It's not his fault as running back. Like, they had a just sad play at the end. You know, there was what more can you do?
For our sports bettors, real quick, it is the first time that the Army-Navy game has hit the over in 16 years. The only reason it hit the over was because of overtime. The over was only set at 32.5 points. But 10-10 at the end of the game.
Right. George, let's hear your surprise. And I don't think this is a surprise. You've been hot. I feel like
I do have to mention something real quick before my surprise of the week.
Oh.
I'm a Browns fan. If you go back a few years with our first overall pick, we drafted I'll say a gentleman out of Oklahoma named Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield led us to our first playoff win in decades. Looked like the future of our franchise. Last year, he sucked. It's the Carolina Panthers. Sucks. Just put on waivers and immediately picked up by Sean McVay and the Los Angeles Rams. Plays terrible 57 minutes of football. In the last 3 minutes, scores 14 points to beat the Raiders, including a 2-minute 98-yard touchdown drive right down Las Vegas's throat. An incredible catch by Ben Skoranek.
From Notre Dame.
Notre Dame grad. A touchdown snag by Van Jefferson to win the game. And I love Baker Mayfield? No. He planted the flag on Ohio State's field. I've always had some disdain for him since then. Baker Mayfield surprised me this week. He did. See if he has sustained success in.
That would be an even bigger surprise, I think. Yeah,
would be the bigger surprise because Baker had days in moments in Carolina where he looked good. He sure had.
Isn't that how he started? But isn't this exactly how he started too? Didn't he come in on a Thursday night game, and
He started for Carolina beginning of the year, but
no, but like start of his career. I thought that's how he started. He started on Thursday night.
When he started his career, he started a game early in the year, came in, won the game.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Thursday night or not.
I thought it was like a Thursday night game. I thought that's what they said.
So Baker Mayfield, he's not my surprise of the week.
It was a surprise.
He's a surprise of the week. Now I got to get to my surprise of the week. Team that recently had a huge QB trade with the Los Angeles Rams. Get maybe the better QB in the trade, along with a lot of draft capital and pieces. Detroit Lions and Jared Goff. I think it's something like Jared Goff hasn't thrown an interception. Jared Goof hasn't thrown an interception in 4 weeks. Last game he threw for 330, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, a higher passer rating than Mr. Justin Herbert.
Oh my God!
And the Lions are hunting the playoffs, man. They're stalking the playoffs. I think won 5 of their last 6 of their last 7, something like that. And Jared Goff, man. I mean, you can't say enough about what he's done in the past 2 months there in Detroit. He's putting on a show. He's playing like a top 5 quarterback in the league. He's not turning the ball over, and he has control of that offense. He has control of that locker room, and they're bought in on Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff saved him and Dan Campbell another season in Detroit. I think a lot of people thought Detroit was going to get the first overall pick this year and go grab Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, but the looks of it, just Jared Goff's football team, and Jared Goff gets my surprise of the week, and it should really be a surprise of the month. He's playing incredible football.
Fair enough. Toss it over to Jamesy, the creator of this section.
Yeah, sure. Great surprises, guys, but my surprise of the week has to be the Carolina Panthers taking it to the Seattle Seahawks, winning that game 30-24 in just an absolutely impressive fashion. I mean, Seattle's defense has been up and down the whole year, but like the Panthers have just been looked at as one of the worst teams in the league. And I will say, ever since Steve Wilkes took over that head coaching position, they have just taken the philosophy of we will just run the ball and we will play great defense. And that is exactly what they did. They ran for 223 yards on 46 carries, getting 2 touchdowns and averaging amongst the 6 players they had rushing the ball, 4.8 yards a carry. Chuba Hubbard had 74 yards, averaged 5.3. Dante Foreman had 74 yards, only averaged 3.5. And then rookie Raheem Blackshear had 4 carries for 32 yards, averaging 8 yards a carry. And not only that, but the Carolina Panthers had the ball for double the time that Seattle did. They had the ball for about 40 minutes, whereas Seattle only had it for 20. Just an absolute dominant performance by the Panthers, bringing their playoff hopes alive. And this team's hot right now. They're playing good defense. The offense is somehow working with Sam Darnold behind the helm. They are a dark horse to make the playoffs out of the AFC or out of the NFC South, and I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it so much.
You know what Sam Darnold's doing right now, and this is what the Panthers weren't doing earlier this year. They had P.J. Walker and Baker Mayfield who were coming in, trying to make big plays, scrambling around, and trying to do what a lot of good QBs in the league do. Like Josh Allen does that, Mahomes does that, but they aren't those guys. Sam Darnold has taken this offense, he's handed the ball off, he's made smart reads, and he's not turned the ball over. They're winning.
No, 100%.
The Panthers have a incredibly underrated defense in my mind, by the way. Shaq Thompson, J.C. Horn, Brian Burns,
Dude, Brian Burns is legit.
Brian
Burns is really good.
Shaq Thompson had 9 tackles. Did J.C. Horn have a pick last game?
He almost had 2.
Horn had a pick.
Yeah, he almost had 2. One got called back because his foot was, I think, just out of bounds when he caught the pick. But he had a great game.
He got picked 8th overall in the draft a couple years ago. He was injured his whole rookie year. Dude could play football.
No, dude's good.
His dad's a Hall of Famer, I'm pretty sure. So,
at least played. I also just want to point out you mentioned Josh Allen earlier. He had a worse passer rating than Justin Herbert this week, but
Why is just?
But
Anyway,
anyway.
Brock Purdy.
We will base
It wasn't
everything off Justin
Brock
Herbert this
Purdy or
episode.
Trevor Lawrence.
I have to defend my boy. Anyway, all right. So I think George, you wanted to talk the NFL playoff picture and make some predictions, right?
Yeah, let's talk NFL playoff predictions real quick.
I can give you one team I know for certain will be in there.
So do you want to go
Sorry,
division by
AFC
division, or just?
let's go AFC. We're just going to talk AFC, then we're going to talk NFC. AFC. If the playoffs were to start today, Buffalo Bills would be on bye. Chiefs, Ravens, and Titans would have home games, and the Bengals, Dolphins, and Patriots would be going to play those three teams. On the bubble. Also at 7-6, the Patriots are in seventh at 7-6 right now. Also at 7-6 are the Chargers, and the Jets. So, anyway, I mean, if we look at the Bills being at the top, it looks like they just about are going to have that AFC East wrapped up. It just comes down if they could win a couple more games and fend off the Chiefs from getting that first round bye week and the infinite home field advantage throughout the playoffs. I don't know what you guys think. I actually think the Chiefs are going to find a way to snag that first round bye. I think the Bills could drop another game, and I think the Chiefs win out.
I think if you would have asked me this like 2 weeks ago, I would have 100% agreed with you. But I just think Buffalo's playing really well right now. They're hot.
Oh, yeah,
I think they struggled at the right time. Like they struggled kind of in the middle of the year. You know, they had a few bad games, then they kind of righted the ship. I just think Buffalo's playing about as hot as Kansas City. I think it's possible that both still lose another game, but I just think it's that tiebreaker that's going to keep Buffalo in the one spot. So I agree with you. It could easily go to the Chiefs. Like, don't get me wrong, but if I had to put money on it, I'd say Buffalo would keep it, but they have the same record. You know what I mean? It's just the head-to-head tiebreaker is what gives Buffalo the one.
I think we all agree those guys are going to be staying 1 and 2 up there.
I think so.
I would agree, unless like the Bengals make a crazy run, but
I mean, the Bengals would have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs.
the Bengals are the only team that I could really see doing it. If we're gonna say like about like a team that could go up and take like the 2 seed or the 1 seed, if the Bills drop some games like you think they might, and the Chiefs drop another game or two, and the Bengals just win out, I mean they could be the one. They're good enough to do it.
Tiebreaker would work between the Bengals and the Bills. I have no clue who would have that.
It goes.
Does it go division record or does it go head to head if they do play?
It goes head to head first, but I don't know if they play. Then it goes division. Then it goes head to head. Then just division record. Then it goes conference. So how many AFC games have you won? And then I think there's some other tiebreaker after that, but I'm not sure what it is.
Let me tell you, I don't know. I don't care that much about the top of this AFC picture. There's one spot I'm looking at. There's one spot I'm looking at. It's that 7 spot. And let me tell you why I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are getting this spot. Let me just
would like to point out that these Steelers are currently ranked second to last.
Let me tell you. First off, we're going to look at the remaining Steelers schedule. The Steelers are going to have to win out, and by God, I tell you, they have a path to do it. You want to hear our schedule? We play the Panthers, which they played good last week, but we have a chance at least, I think. Then it's the game of destiny. Christmas Eve, Franco Harris is coming home. We're putting people in the Hall of Fame. Big Ben Roethlisberger's going to be in the stadium. We are taking the Raiders down on Christmas Eve. Then we go.
Those are 2 winnable games I will concede that.
The Ravens. I know Lamar will be back.
And that's where you get eliminated from the playoffs.
Look at the Steelers' record against Lamar. I'm telling you, if you look at all of the Steelers' losses against Lamar since Lamar's come into the league, they have been not against Lamar, but backup quarterbacks when Lamar was hurt. RG3, week 16 of the big year for us. Last week. All of the Ravens' wins over the Steelers are when Lamar Jackson isn't playing. He's better, I'll give you that. We got him dialed in. It's hard to beat a team twice. I think it's a fun New Year's Day game. Maybe a little immaculate extension from Antonio Brown Part 2, some specialty. And I'm telling you, I think the Browns are going to do it too. This final week matchup between the Browns and Steelers will decide which one of us goes to the playoffs. And let me tell you, if there's one thing the Steelers know how to do, it's manage a man with some questionable pasts. You know, we handled ours for 17 years. I'm telling you, we might not have been able to handle good old Jacoby. He was quite scary. We don't like men with clean records. But we know how to beat those guys like Lamar. We know how to beat guys like Deshaun. We got them dialed in. We got them locked on. We're beating the Browns at home in the final week. And let's just look at other players. I'll give you a little other team analysis. Let's look at who has that 7 spot now. The Patriots.
The Patriots.
You want to hear the Patriots who they got to play?
Yep.
The Raiders, Bengals,
The Raiders to win that.
Bengals, Dolphins, Bills.
A tough schedule.
That's my point. So let's
The Chargers. Find the Chargers schedule.
Oh, dude, dude, I was just about to talk about this. The Chargers, if they win this week against the Titans, their schedule is literally they play the Titans, they play the Colts, they play the Rams, and then they play the Broncos. The Chargers can win out and make
Chargers are getting the 7 seed.
The Chargers are formidable, but I'm telling you, Justin Herbert has a really low QB rating. I'm telling you, like we've been saying this whole show.
Yeah,
listen.
Yeah, it's so low, bro.
Broncos country is going to win that game. Let's ride.
Wilson's taking down the toilets.
Don't listen here. We said the final week. Did you say that they play them the final week, James?
The
Broncos?
Who? Yeah, they play the Broncos.
Yeah, Russell Wilson's coming in last week to beat the Toilets and the Chargers. I'm telling you, the Steelers might just weasel their way. Who else do we got here? The Jets. The Jets
have a tough schedule.
They have the Lions next
week. Then they play the Jags. Then they play the Seahawks.
Oh, and the
Jags.
The Jags play the Cowboys this week, and then they play the Jets. So that's 2 people in front of us. The Raiders we're all down on. That's my point. If we could just win some football games we're supposed to win, we might just have a chance. It's not crazy. It's not crazy. I might sound crazy. I might look like the Pepe Sylvia meme drawing all the lines on the wall, but I'm telling you, there's a path.
The Browns' biggest obstacle is that the Chargers beat them head to head. So we would need the Chargers to only win 2 of their next.
I know.
Four.
Listen,
we would need to go 10-8, and they would need to go 9.
Listen, the Colts.
You need to
The
go
Colts
9
can
and
beat
8.
them. The Colts can beat them. The Broncos can beat them, and the Titans can beat them.
The Chargers could only win 1 more game if we want to go to the playoffs.
No, no, because we're supposed to be. The idea is that we finish at 9-8, so they can win 2. Because they beat you guys. I don't think we played them.
Here. The Chargers aren't losing 2 of their next 4. They're gonna probably win 3 of the next 4.
I don't think so. Listen. This is the year of bad football, where teams who are supposed to win don't.
All right, let's get to the important conversation here real quick. Titans, Jaguars. Who's getting out of the South?
Dude, I'm gonna be real. I think the Jags are hot right now.
I think
the Titans are really falling off. I think the Jaguars can do it. I really believe in them.
I think this week will determine it. This week will determine it.
Officially call out Michael Graham and officially state that this Jaguars podcast is vehemently. Oh my god, I can't say that word.
Vehemently.
Whatever, we got it.
Rooting against the Tennessee Titans for the remainder of the year.
100%. Oh, yeah, 100%.
But my
it's not a mobile quarterback. Eric Henry is not the best running back in the league.
Whoa.
Let's calm down.
Mike Vrabel.
Who's better than Derrick Henry?
Wait. Nicholas Jamal Chubb.
George, just stop.
Please
stop.
Oh no. I thought I was delusional for Steelers' sake.
Mike Vrabel is an average in-season coach who has no idea how to get it done in the playoffs.
Bro, you can't call Mike Vrabel an average coach. That dude won 12 games, got a 1 seed with no roster. And Derrick Henry's the best running back in the league.
Well, no, he didn't.
I don't care if you think
lost in its first playoff
Chubb's
game.
better. Dude's also been to an AFC championship. Has Stefanski been to an AFC championship?
All right.
Well, when did I say Stefanski was a good coach? Get
Bro,
rid
you.
of the
All right.
Dude.
Listen, I think that's good. The thing is, the AFC, everyone's playing bad. It feels like, like nobody's perfect. It's anyone's game. There are at least a few more better contenders over in the NFC, I think. Eagles clinched their first spot, obviously. They're already in. They're locked in. I mean, they're 12-1. They're locked in.
Vikings are winning the North.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just winning the North.
And the Niners, I think we all agree, are
winning
pretty
the
much a
West.
shoe-in. And I think the Cowboys, the way they're
Dude.
playing, have a pretty decent chance to get in as well.
The Seahawks, I think, play the Niners and the Chiefs in the next 3 weeks. The Seahawks cannot.
So I guess we have questions. The first question I see is Buccaneers. We all seem pretty down on them.
Down.
But this is the time of the year when Tom Brady likes to play his best football.
It sure is, Nider. Sure is.
That's what I'm saying. I still can't count him out, especially when I see him at the 4 spot here.
I mean, I'm just down. I'm gonna be real. I'm very down. I mean, the Bucs play the Bengals this week. I think that's just gonna be a loss. I'm down on the Buccaneers 100%.
Oh,
I'm
down on
I think
them
they can
too.
still win the division.
That's my
but,
point. They're 6 and
Dude,
7 and at the head of their division.
Here's the thing: they're the teams that are a game back from them are the Panthers and the Falcons, who Tampa Bay plays. They play both of them before.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, we're beating the Panthers this week. So Panthers can say
I
bye-bye.
don't know.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
But
Funny situation, real quick. If the playoffs were to start today, or in general, if the Buccaneers and Cowboys both make the playoffs, which probability says they will, and the 4 and 5 seeds, which probability says they will, they've played each other this year, and one of the 3 Cowboys losses are to the Buccaneers.
It could be an interesting game.
But I just think Dallas will kill them.
Look who's in there, though. One of our teams is actually in there. Look at the Washington Commanders. Can they hold out, James?
Listen, if they beat the Giants, I believe they will make. They need to win 2 of their next 4 games. If they can win 2 of their next 4, they will be 100% in.
Fair enough.
If they but they need to beat the Giants. That's a definite win they have to have. And I think between the Browns, Niners, and Cowboys, they can pick up 1. I'm specifically looking at the Browns game.
What I'm hearing is, because Niners and Cowboys, those are 2 tough games. Let's pretend you
the
beat
Cowboys
the Giants.
at the end of the year
Pretend
when they
you beat
might
the
not be
Giants.
playing anything.
Let's pretend you beat the Giants. Let's pretend.
Oh, it's another game where if George you guys are gonna both be potentially killing each other's playoff hopes.
Oh yeah, I know.
I'm out of playoff hopes. It's
No.
spoiler season, boys. And I'm here to ruin some Washington Commander fans' year. Sean Watson's going to have his coming out game against Washington. Is that New Year's Day, James?
I believe it's so. It's either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day.
Either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. I'm there in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. Sean Watson's going to have his coming out game. Nicholas Jamal Chubb's going to run for 153 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Man, you really discount Washington's defense.
All right.
They're one of the best in the league this year.
And then finally, there's one last team, though.
The Browns are on the 4th string center.
There's one last team here, though,
And
and
you guys
honestly,
have Aaron Payne and Jonathan Allen.
both teams in New
Indeed
York
we
have
do.
been great this year. Or not great, but significantly better than usual.
Considering how bad they've been for years, we can call them great.
Sure,
Considering
fine. But the
standards.
Giants are in the playoffs right now if it ended today.
Giants are not going to make the playoffs, mark my words.
Oh, that's
I'm gonna
probably
be
true.
real-
Well, that's the thing. The
Listen,
Redskins... Oh, gosh. Oh.
Giants
Excuse
are
me.
not making the playoffs.
Yeah,
I'm
I
going to
don't
have to
think
censor
they
that.
will.
I'm going to have to beep that. That's illegal.
It's all right. It happens.
I'm just not used to the Commanders yet. Especially
No, it's all right.
Especially because, like, I don't know if y'all are looking at this. Like, are you on the NFL's website right now looking at this, George?
Yeah.
All the other ones say, like, Cowboys and Buccaneers, but Washington's just still says Washington.
Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has Tampa Bay above it.
Well, yeah, but my point is, like, everyone else, it's clear who they are, but, like, Washington, they never updated it to Commanders.
it has Commanders on the one I'm at.
Yeah, mine has Commanders on it as well.
All right, mine doesn't.
But I mean, Yeah, I would put my money against the Giants making it just because they're kind of on a. I mean, I truly believe they'll lose this week, and I think they're kind of just on a downswing because of all the injuries they've had. I think just the lack of talent on the roster is catching up with them. I just believe either Seattle or really the Lions could make it. I could see them
Detroit
doing it.
Lions.
All I know is like
Or-
if Washington stays in the sixth seed, which if the Giants drop out, they might. They could, if Washington does stay in the sixth seed, I am terrified of playing the Niners in the first round. I do not want to play the Niners.
I will say, I think it's going to end up being at the Seahawks in that last spot. But my brain says the Seahawks. My heart says the Lions.
No, George, I'm 100% with you
I'm
there.
riding with my heart.
You know, the Seahawks. I've been a big fan of Geno Smith this year. The fact that he's just been good has kind of been incredible. Like he's gotten memed on so much before the season started. Like, who was it? Like the U.S. tennis, like Twitter, like made fun of the Seahawks or something, and made fun of Drew Lock and Geno Smith. So the fact that Geno Smith's out here just balling, like looking like one of the best QBs in the league right now, like if either team makes it in, I won't be mad. But like, I kind of want the Lions in just because it would be really cool to see the Lions playing dude. If the Lions played the Vikings in the playoffs, that would be so electric because they could actually win that game.
Them.
All right, but I think
The Dan Campbell Lions are a different breed of lion. These are the alpha male lions. We're talking about the kings of the jungle right now.
yeah. My thing though, I think the rest of the teams here though, while there's a lot more of these like 5-8, 4-9 contenders over on the NFC, I think we're all pretty certain they're not mostly gonna make it in.
Yeah,
My big
I will
thing
say
is-
though before
Every
we
fan that's
move
not
on,
a fan of the AFC North is about the Steelers and Browns right now.
Nope.
But we just drew
Nope.
our scenarios up.
Nope, because
but,
my
I will
scenario
say,
is probable.
I think I would put money on like because there's definitely like Tampa Bay's the favorite to make it out of the NFC South. I would put money that either the Falcons or Panthers could steal from. Like, there's probably good odds on that. I could bet either of those teams and see it happening.
If you
I
give
could
it
see Tampa
time,
collapsing.
The problem is, I'm cool with saying, oh yeah, either of them could do it, but I don't know which one's gonna because they both
No.
kind of suck.
I would honestly bet the Panthers more than the Falcons right
I
now,
would
but
bet the
who
Panthers.
knows? Maybe Desmond Ritter comes out and really just shows out.
Yeah, Desmond Ritter getting the start this week.
He's playing the Saints too.
Not a good team.
Yeah.
No.
Baker's got the Rams, but the Cardinals losing Kyler feels like an ender.
Oh, there's no way. The Cardinals are bad. The
Yeah.
Cardinals should fire their head coach. I
But-
don't know why.
But that we can with that we can finally move on to some future game looks.
We're finally here.
Yeah, we have a long episode today. Oh,
We have another half hour probably.
yeah. But we've got some big games here, and again, games that I think we've sort of already talked a little bit about, but I think just some big matchups in general. And one that I think I want to talk about just because I need the Chargers to lose really bad. And so I'll talk about this first one, Titans-Chargers. We've already hinted at it at a matchup that could be contentious, and we're a little down on the Titans. But I'm telling you, as much as we like to talk about the Titans being down, we've talked much more this episode about Justin Herbert not being better than a lot of quarterbacks. And so I think as
Justin
a
Herbert's a
podcast,
top 10, fringe top 5 QB in this league. I
think-
don't want to effing hear this
He's
slander.
not the
oh,
top 5
I like
quarterbacks
this
in
take from
I
George,
said
so I'm going to
fringe.
side with him
I said
here.
fringe.
I like this George take here. I think the Titans, I think Mr. Derrick Henry, the king, will have quite a big game. I think he's going to run all over this Chargers D that sounds a little injured. You know, I think my boy Ryan Tannehill will game manage this one a little bit. But I'm interested to hear James. James sounds like he's going to be a little more pro Chargers here, and I'm not liking that.
I'm very high on the Chargers. Anyway, I mean the Chargers. I've just like been a very big proponent of the Chargers since Justin Herbert has been good. So I've kind of followed them for a while. But just like as a note for this game, Joey Bosa is supposed to come back, and they might get Derwin James back for this game. Derwin James a little bit more up in the air, but Joey Bosa, they said during the broadcast is like on pace to come back for this week.
He hasn't really played
And-
at all this year.
I think he played a little bit at the beginning, and he came back and got hurt again. It was a weird. They've been hurt. The Chargers have been absolutely decimated with injuries this year. However, They have Mike Williams and Keenan Allen back. Justin Herbert's one of the best QBs in the league. I agree with United that Derrick Henry is probably going to tear up that defense of the Chargers. But
Terrible run defense.
But the Titans' defense is worse, and I think Justin Herbert's about to carve them up and get up to such a lead that they can't run the ball, and they have to throw.
It could be true. It could be true.
So I believe that on the back of Justin Herbert, off of this incredible win against Miami, they're going to beat the Titans and go on a run to make the playoffs. I Chargers to win this game.
As much as I think Justin Herbert is not sniffing top 5 quarterback status in the league, I do believe Chargers win this game. I think Derrick Henry could run all over the Chargers, but I think James' analysis is pretty spot on. I think when you go down 14, you can't give the ball to Derrick Henry 14 times he drive. I think Chargers win this one. The playoff hopes alive, and Tennessee has to get ready for a battle in
Didn't you say when you were down 10 at half, though, you're supposed to come from half and give it to Chubb 3 times immediately?
Well, he said. Well, George also said 14 for this one, so that's 4 points.
That's like he said.
It's very different when you're the Cleveland Browns because the Titans have won games. Actually have a win when
we've
Nick
got another
Chubb
big matchup here. I don't know if someone else wants to take it. I'm sure someone.
Yeah,
else
I will happily take the Dolphins Bills game because I think the Bills are going to crush them. I think that this is not going to be a close game
right now.
Every time I say the Bills are going to crush them, they don't though. Like that's like I bet on the Bills last week and they didn't.
I mean the Bills. I mean they didn't like kill the Jets last week, but I think the Jets are more of a team that's built to. I think the Jets are built to play with the Bills, and in cold weather. The Dolphins I don't think can play in cold weather. First of all, I think the Chargers and the 49ers over the last 2 weeks have given a blueprint on how you disassemble the Miami offense. You jam the receivers early, you get pressure onto it, you force him to make throws that he just can't make, and he looks like an average QB to a below average QB when he does that. So I think defensively the Bills are going to go in this game knowing what to do. Tyreek Hill's ankle is kind of messed up right now. It's not like a serious injury. He should be playing, but the fact that he might even be limited is a negative factor. And this is just my I said this in group chats all week. The Dolphins had heaters when they were in LA and it was 55 degrees in the stadium. They're about to go play probably a snow game in Buffalo. They're not, and they don't run the ball. They're not going to be able to beat Buffalo. It is not going to be a close game. The Dolphins are going to get crushed. Tua's going to have enough. Maybe he might have a little better game, but it's nothing. Josh Allen going to take him down. And the Bills, in my opinion, are still mad about the game earlier this week that they choked away to the Dolphins. So I think the Bills easily win this game.
Fair enough.
I got the Bills in a tight game just because it's in Buffalo. It's my analysis.
Yeah, it's hard for me not. The Bills feel like a very dominant football team, and the weeks where they don't dominate, they still get it done. It's just they're not winning by 10. And I think just the matchup here. I'm not very high on Miami to begin with. I think I have. I'm not. I find it interesting that y'all were all saying being 30 degrees hotter can kill you, but being 30 degrees colder will make you that worse. Because you were all fine.
Whole different animal.
Well, I see. Part of me feels like it's not, and that's where if you can play in hot temperatures, but you can't play in cold, it's probably the same way. It's the same thing with just the altitude difference in Denver.
No, but it's a lot easier to play in warm weather games for a team that's normally plays in the cold than it is for a hot weather.
Oh, sure. I agree. It's different.
My season started at 100 degrees and ended at 2 degrees. I will play. The offensive linemen, I actually like the cold games, but the receivers, that ball gets hard.
See, I'm just saying, me personally, when I go to Florida, even when it's 80, it's too hot for me. That's just the way I was born. Raised up here, but that's whatever it is. I still think the Bills win. We're all in agreement here on this one, I think. So
let's go talk about our team predictions.
There you go. Everyone's got a game this week at least, so that's good.
Let's go.
Georgie, I think we're gonna head it over to you first.
Yeah, Browns Ravens. Lamar appears to be out again. But the Ravens, like they did against the Steelers, run the football.
Oh yeah.
Make it play defense. It's going to be a tight game. How is a tight game with the Steelers? I expect a tight game. I don't expect a blowout either way. I expect the Ravens to run the ball a lot. And I expect Deshaun Watson to take another step and knock some rust off. And with the Browns in a close one with the home field advantage, and the game could go either way and could come down to the last possession.
See, George, you said his coming out game is going to be down against the Commanders.
But yeah, that's his coming out game is his 5 touchdowns, 400 yards, 60 on the ground game.
I'm telling you, I think it's going to be this week. I'm telling you, that Ravens, the Steelers should put it this way: if the Steelers don't miss that field goal, and Trubisky throws the ball a little better, we win that game by 17.
A lot of ifs.
No, it's a lot of ifs. My point is, I think Deshaun Watson is that. I believe he's a lot better than Trubisky is. I know you've had his struggles. I'm not big on him. I made fun of him a lot earlier in the show. But if he plays this the way he's been playing and he doesn't greatly improve, I agree. It's probably going to be a close game, But I think if Deshaun Watson plays some Deshaun Watson football, I think this is like a 30-point blowout. And I'm honestly worried. Like if Deshaun Watson gets on this early, I think y'all are significantly more of a dangerous team, especially going forward for the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we're making the playoffs.
I'm saying if Deshaun comes out and like puts 4 tutties up this week, I think you get a lot more confident about it.
Sure. Ames, big game this week for you. I can't say big enough.
Unless he wants to pick the Ravens.
Wait, what?
Are you taking any Ravens?
I was moving on to James's.
Oh, we can move on to James's game. I was going to say we didn't hear.
I don't care what James thinks about the Browns.
No, George gave his prediction, but I wasn't sure if you had any takes on that Ravens game. But we can move on.
Oh, I mean, not really. I think it'll be a tighter game than most people believe it will be.
Fair enough.
Is my only thing.
One possession game that comes down to the last drive.
Yeah,
I think.
No, and I see that. I could see that for sure. So I think we're all.
I basically kind of just agree with George. I think it'll be a close. Like I think just looking at it from an outsider's perspective, right, who doesn't really have a ton of knowledge about football, might be like, oh, the Ravens are 9-4, the Browns are 5-8. The Ravens should kill them. But I think when you kind of get down to the nitty gritty, the details of it, I think it'll be a one possession game, like George said. It'll come down to the wire. The Ravens could either choke it away, or the Browns could choke it away. I mean, 2 teams known for choking, really coming into the game.
Our linebackers this week. One of our starting inside linebackers this week is named Tony Fields II. You guys are big football guys, right? You guys do not know who Tony Fields II is, do you?
No idea who that is.
Exactly. Deion Jones, he was good in 2012.
All right. Well, so we're moving on to me or moving on to Niders game?
No, we'll go with you, James. We'll give you that.
All right. Well,
big
as
game
George
here.
was saying, this game has playoff implications.
Big.
Heavy playoff implications. If Washington wins this game, they put themselves in a insanely good position to make the playoffs. If they lose, they still have a chance, but it becomes a lot harder. So this is a must-win game for both teams. Now Washington's coming out of the bye, so that I believe that helps them a little bit, because ironically enough, in every single game that Scott Turner has more than 7 days to prepare for a game, the offense looks 10 times better. Like the only times they've ever scored more than 20 points or 21 points are when Washington has an extra day to a week to prepare. So I believe that the offense will come out looking much better than last time. But I think really what this comes down to is kind of like what I said last week. It's really going to come down to the run game on both sides. Can Washington establish the run and get the play action game going, while at the same time can the Washington defense really limit limit Saquon Barkley again, but also limit Daniel Jones. Because last time they weren't good at limiting Daniel Jones on the ground. They limited Barkley really well. They did a great job shutting down Barkley, but they're gonna have to make sure Daniel Jones doesn't get out of the pocket and start doing these QB runs anymore. That's gonna get really dicey like it did last time. And again, I think what an interesting battle to see is going to be the defensive tackle battle in this game, because you have a great tandem in Darren Payne and Jonathan Allen against Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams, because I'm pretty sure Leonard Williams is playing in the game. And I really do think whoever wins the tackle battle in this game is gonna go out to the win here. I think it'll be Allen and Payne. I think they're better than Lawrence and than the duo of Lawrence and Leonard Williams, but we'll have to see. And I think it's going to be a tough, hard-fought game. It's going to be gritty. It's going to be punch in the face kind of game, punch in the mouth kind of game. In the end, though, I believe Washington will win the game. I believe they'll win 27-21 and firmly put themselves in a position to make the playoffs and potentially win a playoff game this year.
I need Scary Terry to go off this game, James.
So do I.
I have to win my fantasy week over this other guy by like 40 points to go to the playoffs. So I need.
Listen, dude, Scary Terry, he'll be out there. If Taylor, like I said, and like I think it was one of the episodes, if Taylor Heineke is at QB, Scary Terry will always eat.
Fair enough. I'm high on Danny Dimes. I like him too, but I do think the Commanders take this game as well. I just feel like, especially, I think, especially with the way the defense is playing, especially if the injuries, like James says, are improving and coming back in a positive way, I think they're going to be able to pull this one off.
No, yeah, and just to hit home the point again, it is incredible how different Washington's offense looks when they have extra time to prepare. I don't know what Scott Turner does with that extra time, but man, does he come up with good stuff. I wish that was how we were every week, but like I said, you said, Nair, the injuries are getting better. The team has had a bye week to get healthy, prepare. They're playing the same team they played last time against. They basically just had to double prepare for this game. So they should theoretically have a very good game plan for this. I still think it'll be close because it's a division game, but in the end, I think they win.
Fair enough. I think that heads us down over to a game that I think we actually will have a little bit of contention on, because I think y'all are a little higher on the Panthers than I am. I'm telling you, in this Steelers-Panthers game, Mitchell Trubisky and I'm assuming Mason Rudolph are going to come out. They're going to throw some footballs. Let me tell you. They're going to throw it down the field. They might throw it to the defense a little bit.
Blue jerseys.
They might throw it to the defense a little bit, but they're throwing it. It might as well be a punt the way they're throwing it. Let me tell you. I'm telling you, it's the first time I'm going to compliment our offensive coordinator, because the deep ball is in the offense, and that's, something that I like to at least watch. It at least gives you a little excitement. You're like, oh, we might do something. Does it hurt when it's an interception? Yeah, but I mean, at least you're like, at least Mitch threw it to the 10. So that's a plus.
Threw it to the 10.
So, I'm looking at this game. I think we should be able to win it. If our defense plays, the Panthers don't. I don't know a single person on the Panthers anymore, other than the guy on my fantasy team who I will not be playing this week because he doesn't catch footballs. I'm gonna be for real. I'm not high on him. I know I'm biased. I'm a Steelers fan. But give me my boys by 10.
By 10. That's a. Yeah, where is it
at home, I believe. I can go check it.
I'm gonna think that.
No, it's Steelers are away. No, Steelers are away.
Oh, come on, give me the home team. Give me Carolina close. I was really gonna go with whoever the home team is. I think it's gonna be a close game. I think the Carolina has a good run attack, and your run defense got exposed last week. I think Carolina has a good pass defense. However, I think Sam Darnold literally won't be able to throw the ball against you guys between your pass rush and your pass defense. So, give me the under. Whatever the under set, over under set at, I'll take the under.
Fair enough.
I'll take Carolina close at home.
Fair enough.
Yeah, James,
George,
I'm just agreeing with George here. I think the Panthers are just kind of on a hot streak right now. They're kind of the team that the Steelers don't want to play because I feel like their two styles are very similar in the sense of like they both just want to play like a gritty game of football. They want like both teams really just kind of want to do the same thing, but I think one team just does it better. Like I think the Steelers ideally would like to like establish the run and have like a good running attack behind a great defense.
Najee's gonna start dribbling some no-name Panthers, and I'm just gonna put the gritty football quote over it.
I mean, you can. I listen. I just think I think Wilkes has this team playing really well. They know who they are. Your starting QB's hurt. You don't even know who your starter is.
It doesn't matter. We've got dogs all around. We've got dogs all around, James.
Like I think T.J. Watt could single-handedly win this game for you guys, but like
you got to remember, James, Duck Hodges almost got us to the playoffs. We can do whatever we want in Pittsburgh.
No, listen. I think it's a pick'em game here. I'll pick the Panthers because I think they're just hotter than the Steelers right now. But like, I think it can go either way.
One more game analysis for our boys down in Duval territory. The Jacksonville Jaguars. This is going to be a hard one, I think. Take on the Dallas Cowboys. It's going to be stacked.
Yeah, Dallas is winning. There's my analysis.
You said Dallas was winning last time. Give me Mr. Goldilocks. Because you know what? Just like James, I'm going to give you sort of James's reasoning here. Everyone's like, oh, the Cowboys are scoring all these points. And then they go to the Texans and flop.
Went to the Texans and won.
They won. They won
on the road.
Give me that. Don't say that was a disappointing game if you're a Cowboys fan.
Win is a win. In 2 weeks,
trust me. As a Steelers fan, I know a win isn't a win. You can be disappointed in a win. Like our week 1 win.
Yeah. 100.
Like our week 1 win.
George, give your reasoning, though. Give your reasoning.
I wasn't going to give reasoning, but here's the reasoning. Dallas has an aggressive pass defense. Jacksonville has an aggressive pass offense. Usually, when you mix those two things together, you get a lot of touchdowns, you get a lot of interceptions. I think Dallas's secondary is better than Jacksonville's pass offense, and I think Dallas's pass rush is way, way, way better than Jacksonville's offensive line and way better than Tennessee's pass rush. I think Trevor Lawrence gets pressured, tries to make a big play, picked off a couple times in this game, and the Dallas offense runs the ball all over Jacksonville.
Hey, George, how many interceptions did he throw last game?
Tennessee Titans pass defense sucks. And remember, Derrick Henry ran for 121 last week, averaging like 7 yards a carry. Zeke and Tony Pollard are going to eat.
I'm a little more up on my Jags here. I might be a little biased, but
I
see a lot of explosive players on the Jags that I think are really booming right now.
No, yeah, I hear George's analysis. Mm-hmm. I think logically that would be the conclusion, right? I think logically you can look at these two teams and be like, yeah, Dallas is more talented.
I'm a logical.
Dallas is a more talented team. They're playing better right now, even though Jacksonville's kind of hot. They're playing better just overall. But this is just the classic Dallas Cowboys game to lose. This game reminds me of a game. Fan. Oh yeah, but this game hey, listen, man, fucking in the playoffs right now. I don't care. This reminds me of, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago when Sam Darnold had mono and his first game back playing the Dallas Cowboys, he just lit them up, and no one expected it. Everyone had Dallas winning. I think the Jags can pull it off.
Me too.
I really think they have a shot.
I'm not high on the Cowboys. Everyone is very confident in the Cowboys right now, and I am not as all in on them as everyone is.
Have you watched the Cowboys play football this year?
Cowboys are really good.
I'm just like, they don't.
Where are the Cowboys weak?
But this is like a trap game. This is a trap game for Dallas. There's no reason Jacksonville should win, but this is just a trap game.
This year just feels like the year of anybody can win any game.
Absolutely. This year's definitely been like that.
Oh, 100%.
But that's my point. It's hard for me to be confident in any team. Like, I'm not even confident in, like, the Eagles anymore after that 1 week they had. Oh, my God.
Oh, what a great week that was.
It was almost lost to the Cardinals. Last second field goal to win.
But I think with that, we can head to our closing sign-off. We've got some bets to be made here, and, I had quite the week. I've had another back-to-back good performance, so I think we're going to be looking here at some different lines and stuff like that, and I'm going to give you what I'm taking, all right? All right. I'm looking at these games here. Let me tell you what I see. We've talked a lot of football here. We've talked a lot of games. And when I'm looking at this game,
Peter didn't prepare his picks.
Listen. I see a lot of. Well, the thing is, I like to make my picks after we talk a little bit. I look a little bit at our analysis. I think it's really bad to have your picks at the beginning because I feel like sometimes your friends bring up points that you weren't thinking about. Like, I don't watch all the games, so like. But I'm going to start off with something that I think you guys are both going to find controversial. Give me the Tennessee Titans +3. I think they're winning this game. I think I need them to win this game. And unlike my Ravens strategy last week, give me them first. It's just where I'm starting. Next, I think I have to put them on here again just to meme on you guys. But with an injured Kyler Murray, I don't think they got anything over there. Broncos country. Let's ride once. Wait. What is the Russell Wilson injury status before I say Broncos country?
He does not appear like he's going to play this week.
Oh, God. Wait, I'm staying away from that. Broncos country can ride later. Broncos country can ride later. You know who I will take? Give me the Chiefs -14.
Oh, pulling a George from last week.
It's a big spread. It's scary. Especially, it's against the same team. It's against the Texans, It's the trap game again,
It's a trap game, it is.
I think the odds of them having two performances like that back-to-back is low. I think Patty Mahomes, I am way more confident in Kansas City than I am in the Cowboys. So I'm going to go take that 14 little beater. I just said I'm not confident in them, but I look at this game. It's one we actually didn't talk about today, but I think it's going to make it onto my thing. I'm confident in him on my fantasy team. He was my fantasy treasure of the year. Give me the Eagles -9. I think that's just they're playing the Bears. I think the Bears are a tough team, but I think just at the point that the Bears are in their season, I think they're tanking. I don't think they want to win more games at this point. I think they're and even if they wanted to win, I don't think they're going to. This is, I think, a pretty decent spread for the game, honestly. My final normal pick, I'm gonna look at the Thursday night game. I think. Maybe we have a lot of Saturday night football, so I actually want to get a pick there. This is the first week of Saturday night football, right? We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
They lost me at last week. I'm gonna try it again. Give me the Bills -7.5.
Okay.
It's a little bit lower of a spread, and I think I can give it over to George, who is now in second place, for his picks.
First pick. I like this one a lot. Almost made it my lock of the week. There's one pick I just like a lot more. Minnesota -4 against Indianapolis. I think Minnesota's going to come out with a little fire coming off that loss. I think the Colts. I do have a little creepy double repeat. I am taking one off Nighters, but it's not one that he would expect me to take. It's one I had written down before we started this episode, and it's one I actually talked against in the episode. But sometimes you gotta bet with your heart, not with your brain. Give me the Titans +3.
Oh, I know it. George wants that playoff spot. He wants it, and we need it.
Titans +3. Other two picks I really like. I like the Patriots. An even spread against the Raiders. I think it's playoff time for Bill Belichick. I think Bill Belichick knows how to playoffs and win crucial games. And I think Josh Daniels is one of the worst football coaches in the league. And my final normal pick. Me. The Detroit Lions. In an even spread against the New York Jets. I love that spread for the Lions. The Jets have some quarterback injuries, some quarterback troubles. The Lions are hot. They're ready to come out firing.
At some
even
point,
spread.
you gotta cool down now.
Give me them Detroit Lions.
James, we're over to
James,
you.
what's going on?
And this is gonna be all 5 from you, James.
I gotta go all 5. Yeah. Well, tough one here, you know. So there's a lot of interesting bets. My first one though is gonna be, it's a bit homery, but I don't care. Washington -4.5 versus the Giants. I believe in them to win. I believe they'll win by more than a field goal.
Blind
And,
dog saw that pick coming.
I have to root for the team. My next pick is going to be, originally I wasn't going to take this pick. I wasn't going to do it. But because both of you went against it, I want it so bad. Give me the Chargers -3 versus the Titans.
Give me a big game for the weekly picks.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It could be. We're going to be watching this one. We're definitely going to be talking this one next week, I guess. We all watch this one.
Yeah.
All right. So my next pick after that is going to be, and I kind of hinted at this earlier, give me the Jags +4.5 versus the Cowboys this week.
That's a good one. I like that. I wanted to take them again. I really did. What was the spread on that one?
It's 4.5. Yeah, like I said, I feel like this is a trap game for the Cowboys. It's a game they shouldn't lose, but I feel like they'll just lose. And, not trying to get me and George have been at it today a lot. We've had a few disagreements.
Me again?
A few arguments. I'm taking the Jets over the Lions in the pick'em game.
Oh way, dude. Dan Campbell?
Lions? Jets, baby.
I like that. I like that kind of attitude. We've got a lot of contention this week.
Either I'm gonna have a good week or James is having a good week, but we ain't both having good weeks. Give me one
I
more
originally
time.
wasn't gonna take the Chargers there, but after you guys both are talking down to them, I just have to. I have to,
No, I
And
understand.
then I do my lock of the week now, right?
Yep.
And then my lock of the week is the Bengals -5 versus the Buccaneers.
That feels good. That feels really good.
Feels like a good lock.
That does.
It feels like a good lock.
I feel ashamed I didn't see that game. I'm honestly.
It's not even -5. It's -3.5.
Oh. All right.
It doesn't feel fair. Hold on.
That's what I said when I saw the pick, dude.
All right.
Yeah, it is -3.5. I guess it is in Tampa.
All right.
And they might be without T. Higgins and without Tyler Boyd, so
True.
that probably plays into it
True.
a little bit. But I still just believe in them. They're playing well.
Joe
right
Burrow
now.
can
They
sling
got
the ball,
good
yeah.
defense.
Georgie,
Yeah.
lock.
My lock of the week, and if you think James sounds unfair, we had the 49ers on Thursday Night Football -3 against the Seahawks.
Oh.
Ooh.
A blunder of a game, and the 49ers are the toughest defense in football. I might need to go find a way to put real money on that game because that feels like a lock.
But for my lock, I'm setting myself up for a heartbreak of a week here. I feel like my strategy has been to bet with logic and pick the easy games so far. I think that's what led me to the first person on this show to get to double digits. Don't want to, but I'm telling you, my boys got some fighting spirit left in them. Give me them Pittsburgh Steelers, whatever the spread is. What are we looking at the spread there? I don't even care. giving us 2.5.
Plus 2.5.
I see us losing this game by 1 point. So give me 2.5 any day of the week. It's either gonna be a close game and heartbreak like it was last week, or it's going to be a big boy dub for the Steelers. Give me my Steelers.
-2.5 or +2.5?
+2.5.
Steelers plus
Okay.
2.5.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I've said it every show. The Steelers just play better when they're the underdogs. Just I don't know it is about them. They just do. So that's gonna be our lock. That's gonna be our bets. We've got Niter that's gonna be Drew for y'all with the show. But I'm going with the Titans +3, the Chiefs -14, the Eagles -9, the Bills -7.5, and then for my money lock of the week, give me my Pittsburgh Steelers up 2.5. If we could get everyone to do a little summary just like that, it'd be really great.
Yeah, George, you want to go first?
George. I mean, not my Minnesota Vikings, the Minnesota Vikings -4. I'm a Detroit Lions fan at this point. The Titans +3. New England even against the Raiders. Lions even against the Jets. And my money lock of the week, 49ers on Thursday Night Football -3 over the Seahawks.
And then we'll pass it over to Jamesy.
All right. So, James's bets of the week, including his lock. We'll start with the bets. Commanders -4.5 versus the Giants. Chargers -3 versus the Titans. The Jaguars +4.5 against the Cowboys. And the Jets in a pick'em game are my regular bets. And my lock of the week is the Bengals -3.5 versus the Buccaneers.
Feels like that's just. That will wrap up our bets, though. That will wrap up the show. We wanted to thank everyone, especially if you got to this point, the video or podcast or episode.
Video.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate you tuning in.
If you got to this point in the video and you send me a text or comment on one of our videos that says, "I love maple syrup," you will buy you an ice cream cone next time I see you. And if I don't ever see you again, we'll get a shout out on the show, and maybe you'll get to participate next week. Our pick'em.
Oh, I'm down to let that happen if we get someone to say.
Is George going to have a
ice
proxy?
cream cone and a participation in the pick'em. If you got to the end of this, what is it, almost 3-hour episode?
2.5 we have it at right now.
2.5
Really?
hour episode, and you comment or text one of us, "I love maple syrup."
Fair enough. But speaking of which, we've got many a platform for you to do that on. I'm falling a little off with it, but I swear I'm going to get back on it. Our TikTok is active. We got a lot of videos going up there. We appreciate all the followers and likes that we're getting on there, but remember, you're going to want to share and save and copy the link on all that stuff too. Even repost it if you feel like it. That'll help us all out, especially getting it out to new people. We also got our YouTube channel where we post every episode every week. That's usually where it gets up first. But we also post on rss.com, which gets our episodes onto things like Spotify. We're potentially even looking at other things right now. I might not have told the boys about this yet, so it's a surprise. But I'm looking at some stuff maybe like Amazon Music. I'm looking at some other services like that potentially with our subscription that we already have through RSS that we might be able to
interact
get
with us on Twitter as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. We've got a Twitter live and active that we respond really well to there. We do polls and stuff like that, trying to interact with the community, so we've got that. Other social media that we probably don't have yet that we might want to get up, maybe an Instagram in general, and maybe just like some stuff like that, but I don't know how much we'd want to do with that. Boys need to discuss that a little more probably. But at the end of the day, remember to like, subscribe here on YouTube if you're here, follow us on Spotify and pin all the stuff that you listen to there, and whatever platform you're listening on. We really enjoy any amount of engagement we get. We really love talking with the fan base, talking with the community, getting y'all's insight, because again, we are pretty biased, especially when it comes to our own takes, so we appreciate getting that outside interaction. But again, it's been a long one, especially if you got here. We appreciate you tuning in. And that's a sign off. Thank you guys for tuning in.
You guys.
All right, thanks, guys.